It's your birthday, you're one of a kind. Underneath the table is a big surprise.
Still don't know why that was a kid's song.
I don't know. Jake, do you remember that?
No.
Maybe we went to different elementary schools.
I needed another couple lines though.
I don't remember any more of it, but that's what they used to sing to people on their birthdays on the morning announcements in elementary school. Which I always thought Underneath the Table was a little bit salacious for kids
it is,
too.
It
to be
is.
fair, where I keep my big surprise, but I withhold that surprise from children.
Right.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I guess
and you don't ask of that prize from children. Like,
would you?
No.
Well, what if it's like a dog? What if it's like a puppy in a box? Where else would you put it? Where else would you hide it in plain sight?
Why is it under the table?
I don't see the point. A table's a terrible hiding spot.
This was
unless it's covered.
You got to remember, this was in the 90s. We didn't have all these things, all this technology now.
Oh, we didn't have tabletops?
No, that's all we had. No, that's why you hid it under the table with a tablecloth. We didn't have.
But even
there's no closets
We didn't
or
have
anything to
cell
hide them
phones.
in.
even if beneath a table was a adequate hiding spot for persons or things, you wouldn't direct the birthday child, the birthday boy, to the place where you're hiding their gift.
Well, in the song, you're alerting them. You have a surprise, and it's under the table, bro.
I feel like
you're alerting them, but like, why? That raises the question.
How?
The next logical question of why did you put it under the table for them to find?
You know, dogs, it's like how dogs can't look up.
What?
Yeah, dogs can't look up. Kids can't look under tables. You know, they just don't do it.
I remember being a kid somewhat.
Yeah.
And I very much could look under tables.
That was my favorite
I was
place
the
to
best
be.
equipped as I ever have been and ever will ever be
To get under
when I
and
was a
look under
child
tables.
to look beneath and explore beneath tables for any extant surprises to be found.
Follow-up question. If it's sung on everyone's birthday, wouldn't you realize it's my birthday today? There's something under the table before the song is even sung.
No, the kid looks around and says, "It's my birthday. Where the fuck's my surprise?"
Whoa.
And they're like, "Oh, it's under the table." All right. Welcome to this iteration of Two Guns, No Ammo.
Happy birthday, asshole.
Thanks, guys.
Happy
it is, in fact, my
birthday.
fucking birthday. One of these days, I am some number of years old.
Aha.
48.
I knew it.
I don't need anybody being able to guess my date of birth and crawling with my credit card. Get all my money. All right, this Big Billy, and I'm the birthday boy.
And I'm Chris. And remember, kids, that the grass is always greener on the other side because you're not over there to fuck it up.
Whoa.
That'll teach you.
Whoa. Basically, this is the Dumb Kids podcast.
What?
Who are you?
I am Genevieve, and I dropped a bottle of barefoot wine on my bare foot this week.
I'm Jake. And I'm an alcoholic. I'm also still Jake, and that joke's been done on the show before.
Jake, your shirt says
I
moo,
was like,
I'm a cow.
So sorry. I haven't seen you drink in months. You're not a very good alcoholic.
I'm the worst. I'm an aspiring alcoholic.
Oh my
I
god.
drink like 2 beers a week.
It's hard work. You really have to put in that effort.
Chris, was that your big reveal?
Yeah.
That was the thing you were going to say on the microphone? I thought you had another fever dream topic for us to talk about.
I mean, we could talk about fucking up the grass on the other side.
Yeah. I don't know. We're not a farming podcast.
We were for some reason discussing overlap between furries and other segments of the population.
Oh yeah.
What's the demographic for fucking horticulture?
What do you mean the demographic? Like,
Such as grass. Who does it? Where are they?
Well, hippies.
who
like
are the
What
grass
they
people?
into?
hippies like grass. So do
How do we
farmers.
reach out to our grass people?
Do they? Okay, I didn't say like, Bill.
What did you say?
I said fuck.
What? How do you even do? What do
You
you?
hear that, Mom? I said fuck.
Oh Jesus! Does your mom listen to this?
No.
Oh, that's probably for the
But
best.
but she might. She
Someday.
already knows. That's not
Someday.
She knows that you're into grass. What the fuck dimension?
I didn't say I'm into grass.
Oh, you just know that people are.
I'm asking if there are.
There are people who bang grass. There must be. There must be. You know what? And here's
I've seen tree fuckers.
I said this before earlier today, and I'll say it again. Cows like to fuck, then their titties get big, and that's all I'm saying.
Good gracious.
Yes, in a very dumb argument we were having as to why I don't drink milk, and that was part of the argument from his side.
And I just said she doesn't want to give cows any titty pleasure, and that's why she won't drink milk.
Yes.
Fascist.
I know, right? I am
Unbelievable.
so mean to those poor cows.
Well, no, there's this whole thing that the artificial insemination is cow rape, and I'm like, cows are kind of slutty, Dale.
Are they?
Yeah,
Where's your proof? I've never heard
well,
this
they
theory.
go into heat, and then they stink, and a bull smells it on the wind, and then they come over and they fuck. It happens all the
That's like an animal thing. That's like all animals.
Yeah, they all fuck. I don't know if animals can be raped. Is all I'm saying.
The rationale's probably, I mean, you'd think they would just like wait for cows to go into heat and then bring a bull around and let the bull do the work.
Mm-hmm.
But
instead they do it separately. And
because cows are a commodity for various reasons, and they're dumb wild animals that have been domesticated. Well, I guess they were. Well, wild cows are not a thing. Whatever. We domesticated these idiots.
They're just running around with deer in the forest.
We domesticated these idiots, and we choose when they get pregnant by what genes.
I'm just saying, these cows want some of that action.
Do it with horses. Do it with pets. Pure breeding.
You know, I found
Thoroughbreeding. Whatever.
I found a
purebred dogs.
cow-themed porn subreddit.
But
of course you did.
It's called like Touch the Cow, and it's girls with giant milky boobs, sometimes up to like 8, and sometimes they have horns, but they're all like black and white colored.
Wait. Like drawn.
Yeah.
Girls. Okay. I was very confused by what up to 8 means. Apparently it's milky boobs.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And you know.
Yes.
And then they're milked, and then they feel better.
The clinical term.
I'm just surprised there's enough of an audience that there's like always new content.
There's always an audience.
Well, we fucking don't have an audience after this succession.
Whatever. It's my birthday.
I don't know. Maybe we'll get
you already win.
Yeah,
we'll get the cow furry population now.
All right, Jake, you had some game content you said you could go over.
Did I?
When we talked about this last week.
Did I?
Yeah. What have you been playing, man?
I ran through Half-Life 2 and the first Fable game, The Lost Chapters.
Which one would you like to address first?
I don't know. Which of them have you guys played?
Neither, actually. And Half-Life 2 is about a deaf guy.
You haven't played Half-Life 2?
I haven't played Half-Life 1.
You're a communist. Get out.
Well,
you call yourself American.
Whoa.
Get out. You can just get out.
So what's going on in Half-Life 2?
What is the series about?
Well, it's a series of 2 asterisk games. But the Half-Life 1, there's a long like intro credit sequence where you're just on like a monorail and you're going through this like underground facility, and there's lava and all kinds of other bullshit. Machinery, and there's an announcer going the whole time. And finally you get to your destination, and you're a scientist. You're Gordon Freeman. You hop off the monorail. There's some dialogue. Talk to guards. You have to take part in a experiment in like some gigantic chamber where you like have to move crystals under laser beams, and you open a portal to another dimension.
Oh.
And aliens that are insane and evil start pouring through. Alien monsters.
Aliens.
And you have to then negotiate the crumbling facility, Black Mesa, and escape. Using a variety of
you don't try to
platforming, weapons, the odd puzzle.
This game is a classic.
First-person shooter.
Right?
It is a classic. It's a Counter-Strike, which you love and love and adore. So
love and dear.
Listen, don't do drugs, kids.
Or be an alcoholic.
The same thing. Counter-Strike started as a mod for it.
Mm-hmm.
It was hey, we're going to take this game platform and make our own game with it. And there were many others. Team Fortress. there were a bunch of expansions for Half-Life where you just a similar idea but just different stories with different silent protagonists that were much shorter. I think Opposing Force was one. Blue Shift was the other. Opposing Force, you play as like one of the mercenaries who tries to contain it, who you have to fight your way through as Gordon Freeman. You play as one of them. Blue Shift, you play as one of the facility's guards who's trying to survive. But it's both the same idea. First-person shooter. Everything I said before.
What makes it so great?
It was tight controls. It was different. A lot of like memorable stages and enemies and environments and level design. It was pretty clear. It was linear. There was one path, but it was diverse and different and challenging, very challenging. And it also just kind of flowed. Like, there were load screens, of course, but the game just starts when it starts, and it ends when it ends. There's no menus to break things up. There's no levels that just end. It's just you're in this. It loads this area. You're in it in whatever condition you left the last one. Like, the camera just stops while it loads and then picks up when it's done. Nothing fancy. And you move through that stage, you complete it, next load screen, camera stops for a few minutes, depending on the shittiness of your system, loads the next area, and you just proceed. It just kind of pulls you through it, and challenges you in a lot of different ways. And it was, I don't know how that stacked up against, I don't know if it had predecessors in that way. I'm not aware of any, but I mean, really, the main first-person shooter I played before that was GoldenEye 007, and related creatures from the N64 era, and they were all pretty classic. Like, I want to play this level, start, level loads, play the level end screen, back to menu, next level, start. And there's nothing really wrong with that. I mean, there's tons of games we still play. I mean, several that I do. Devil May Cry and Doom in particular that do that, and it doesn't hurt anything. But I think it lends itself to the very simple, just like little survival story that you're shooting your way through by not breaking it up that way. Just, why do we have to stop the gameplay? I don't know if that was a conscious decision or not, but I'm not aware of any predecessors to it either.
Pretty interesting. Is it? He's like deaf or something, right?
I'm not aware of it being spelled out. He never speaks. He's a silent protagonist.
Oh, okay.
And they kind of like joke at that,
Gotcha.
Especially in Half-Life 2. There's like one or two line little digs, like, not much for words, are you?
Well, no, I've read about it, right? And I could have sworn somebody said he was deaf, but maybe they're.
I haven't.
No, I'm laughing because I'm just picturing like Helen Keller in that situation, like trying to find her way out.
He's not blind.
That would be really impressive if he thought that.
That'd be amazing.
It's just, oh my god, like a Helen Keller simulator.
We're gonna move on.
I'm letting that one just no.
So how did the health system work? Was it all like health packs and stuff?
Yep, love it.
Okay.
It was very Counter-Strike. Instead of armor, it was you wear a hazmat suit. It was like the energy of the suit. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but it seemed like it kind of like the armor. Like, some damage did pull through to your main health, but the armor would like absorb it and deteriorate more. So and yeah, there were like just health packs, ammo packs, not a ton of weapons, but variety for everything. You could carry them all at once. There was no, they were very Doom-like and a carryover from that generation as well.
So this like alien from another dimension is pretty common tool now. Like, Doom did that, right?
Yeah, different pretenses, but yes.
Yeah, and then Half-Life did it, and then I don't know, didn't Stargate. Here's my real question: why are these aliens so prepared to invade when you accidentally tear open a hole to their dimension?
Well, in the case of Half-Life, it's not that they're prepared; it's that you just tear open a dimension to this. You don't really get to see too much of it. In the first Half-Life, you do go to the dimension to deal with the final baddies, but most of these creatures are pretty feral, and you're just kind of imagine opening up this room we're in to the Amazon. And, particularly where the creatures are large and aggressive, and there's a lot of them. And, how do we deal with this? Mm-hmm. It wasn't that they were prepared for an invasion. It was that Earth was unprepared to deal with very violent, aggressive pests. Mm-hmm. Such as what they affectionately call headhumpers. Which,
is that really what they refer to the aliens as?
It's one word that's used for them, or head crabs, or things.
Crab people?
They're not, well, they make humans into crab people, and they do that. They're these four-legged, flesh-colored little crab things that make a very distinctive sound, and they'll leap up onto people and latch around their heads. Their belly is their stomach, and they'll latch onto people's skulls and take them over. Can you do me a favor
and attempt that sound?
No.
So like,
nope.
It's my birthday weekend.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
So like the aliens from Alien.
Kind of.
The skull grabber.
Kind of
things.
Have I seen Alien? I need to watch that again. But
all right,
similar
stop the
podcast
podcast for watching Alien.
Similar
podcast.
God damn it, Genevieve! God damn it!
You're welcome.
Throwing me off.
So that was Half-Life.
That was Half-Life 1 we were just talking about. Yeah. I played Half-Life 2.
How is Half-Life 2? Was it an improvement?
Yeah. They were like almost 10 years removed, I think.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe not quite that long, but they were
I think it is a long time, because I remember like a few years back everyone was getting excited because they were like, Half-Life 3 isn't like it's gonna happen.
Nope.
And everyone was joking about like, well, it took so long for the second one to come out. What do you think is going to happen if the third one comes out? Like, it's going to be even longer.
What happened? What made you suddenly pick up Half-Life 2?
Whatever that asshole Windows 10 update was that fucked up all my games and wouldn't let me play anything. And getting all that to work again.
Okay.
And wanting to test some games.
So you already had it before the Windows crash or the Windows update?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Impressions, thoughts?
Half-Life 2 is awesome. It's a totally different animal in a lot of ways, and very much the same thing in others.
What's the storyline like?
The storyline's kind of jagged. You're still Gordon Freeman, number 2. You just kind of appear on not a monorail, but now a train in like a metropolitan center. Coming to like the end of the line, and you're just kind of spawned into you're pretty much teleported into place, and this I don't know what his actual name is, but they call him G-Man on like the forums and stuff. Might be other names for him too, but he's just a dude in a suit with a really sinister look and a briefcase and kind of like nondescript. Besides that, but he is a very strange, distinctive voice, and he kind of like takes you out of the end of the previous game, and like has very vague language about his employers and shit. It's, conspiracy alien level shit. People who appear to, this man at least appears to have some idea of where these aliens come from and what is going on outside of what you have any possibility of knowing, so that they can get away with things like, let's just plop you in a new place, which is what they did for the start of Half-Life 2. And in this metropolitan center, there are humanoid guards in armor with these weird white face/gas masks, who are, imagine the Gestapo, kind of that feel to it. Shock batons, pistols, keep people in check. They'll fuck with you, they'll tease you, they'll like swat at you if you get too close to something they don't want you close to, or a door they don't want you going through. But they're not outright hostile at first. And you're just kind of maneuvered through this out of this train station by them. You meet up with, but by apparent happenstance, some other survivors from Black Mesa. And they, as soon as the humanoid guard police types start realizing who you are, then pretty quickly it's just a manhunt. They're just after you.
Oh my god!
Because you killed so many aliens, and these aliens are in league with those ones. And there's like a giant alien spire at the center of the city, and like everything's in shambles. It's post-apocalyptic pretty much, but less not as bombed out as something like Fallout, because that's not what did it. They just kind of overturned at least this piece of human society, and there's like a resistance movement, and you get swept up in that. So now it's a urban fighter monster / first person shooter game with a lot of the same creatures and several new ones on their what was their new proprietary engine, the Source engine, which you know from Counter-Strike Source.
Oh yeah.
It's really sweet, very physics oriented.
Oh yeah.
Lots of ragdolling, lots of goofy shit like that. But similar to how Half-Life 1 spent a lot of time with puzzles and platforming, so too did Half-Life 2, where they integrated really well the physics capabilities of the new engine. Things like, in order to get out of this little room, there's there's a bunch of planks that are resting on top of an overturned barrel, and you need to get on the ledge that's on the other end of the planks. How are you going to weigh down the planks so that it'll turn to a ramp? Oh, well, there's a bunch of cinder blocks all over the place. Stack them up in a way that works, and then, you now have a ramp that'll stay up just long enough for you to fuck off over it. And to that end, the developers did a really good job of kind of training the player into each of these new mechanics. So while there are a lot of, because they're not really training a bunch of separate mechanics, they're training you on the physics of the world in different ways. So like that little ramp example comes into play, it's shown to you very plainly at first. Like, here's this contraption, here's a bunch of cinder blocks. Figure it out. There's no other way for you to go except backward, and then you already know there's nothing back there. Or sometimes you can't because of some similar reason. You went down a ledge, you can't climb back up. So they start you off with that easy ramp, and then build it up over time, and you learn things as you go. And they apply that pretty broadly across the various mechanics of the game, be it the weapon uses, I'm rambling at this point.
Do they tighten up the gunplay at all? The fighting, yeah.
It's I'm not aware of it ever being ported to a console. It's for a very good reason. Like, it's a PC shooter.
Yeah.
And unlike some PC shooters where like it's there's still no iron sight aiming. Half-Life 2, it's not a thing. Even though the graphics honestly still hold up pretty well, as they do in Counter-Strike Source. Like, independent of like patches you might install on your own computer or that are downloaded from a server you're playing on, like those native graphics for that game look pretty good, and they really haven't been altered much that I'm aware of. Like, Valve is just running Steam at this point.
I went back and I played a earlier iteration of Counter-Strike. It was Condition Zero. And holy fuck, did I forget? That was the first one I owned. Did I forget how bad that looked? Somebody threw like a high explosive grenade at me, and it just looked like a 50-gallon oil drum flying through the air. And then, of course, the explosions were just big orange, like pixels, 10 pixels of orange color. The Source engine, I remember. That's
a little dramatic.
The Source engine, when I first encountered it, was with Counter-Strike Source, and my buddy Sean, who was actually only podcast he's ever been on, was the very first one. I played it at his house, and then he gave me his login because he didn't fucking play that game, so I played it. Eventually I bought it, but that's really what I cut my teeth on, getting used to the Source engine, which is what we're saying Half-Life 2 ran on. I don't remember what it was called before that. I think Condition Zero was like 1.6, they call it a lot.
Well, there was 1.6, and then there was Condition Zero.
Oh, okay.
Condition Zero wasn't really dramatically different from 1.6 in a technical way that 6 was different from 5, or 0.6 from 0.5. But like, it added basically a single-player campaign of sorts, very reminiscent of like a fighting game, like a Mortal Kombat type of or Soul Calibur single player, in that it was. It was still exactly the same format. You still, it was 5v5, save the hostages or whatever. For the most part, there were like minor variances, but it might be 1v5, but you still had to like assemble a team and run the map and beat the bots, but there were like specific objectives, and you would like you would get scored on it. You would unlock new weapons and shit, and they also made Condition Zero for the original Xbox, which is, at the time I didn't have a gaming PC. My cousins had Counter-Strike and I couldn't play it, and this came out, and I literally walked into Best Buy with a stack of Best Buy gift cards that I'd been saving. It was like, I need an Xbox and Condition Zero. And honestly, I could have made that first game something different and would have been better off.
Yeah. Yep. Condition Zero is very much a PC shooter. I can't imagine it translated well to the Xbox.
I got decent at it. In fact, I played it online on Xbox Live for a while.
Whoa. How's that community?
I mean, I don't fucking know. It was 10 years ago at least. Maybe 15. But, you know, I doubt anyone's still playing that.
People are still playing
console.
People are still playing it on PC, which
on
is
PC for sure. Yeah, because it's easier to maintain for extended periods.
Yeah,
especially the servers for online shit. But yeah, I mean, it was still very much Counter-Strike. The big thing really was the weapon menus, because the start of every round of Counter-Strike. This is now just a fucking Counter-Strike conversation. The start of every round of Counter-Strike, there's failing things like gun game. You know, it starts. There's a menu, and you use cash to buy equipment. You can weapons, ammo, armor, whatever. So that menu was, I think, the first weapon wheel I ever saw in a game that I recall.
So it was actually
where you used you hit the menu button, pull up the menu while you're in the area where you can do this, and it was just like a pie, and you used the left stick to choose a slice of the pie that was labeled rifles, sweet. The FAMAS, okay. Back out, the next one. And whereas, of course, on PC, you can just slam a bunch of number keys and buy exactly what you want once you know the menu. Couldn't get away with that on the console. So what they let you do instead, and what I think you can do now, is build a like a loadout for yourself. Maybe you could always do that on PC. I think you maybe could have. But, you know, in advance, you can choose, I want this exact kit, and when I have the money for it, I can just hit one button in the buy menu and get that kit. So that was, like, smart. But I don't know how early on in the console shooter world Condition Zero was doing this. But anyway you slice it, very much a PC shooter, aggressively ported to console.
The thing about...
And never again since.
The thing about Counter-Strike that really made it has stood the test of time for, I think, two main reasons. One, it has always embraced community modification. So, like, I've gone and I've played Counter-Strike pretty recently. I guess it's Global Offensive, and they still do it. You'll play maps that are just like textureless maps. They're just shapes that somebody in the community has created. It's a lot of fun. You throw it on a server and everybody can play through it. So it's not gussied up. Like trees don't look like trees. They just look like shaped polygons. You know, buildings don't have any building textures to them. And it's all about just having a good level to move through. And so the maps themselves are community generated, and obviously the favorite ones are kept played. And then there's different game modes, and I'm not sure if Counter-Strike originally came up with gun game, but so in the game there's maybe 25 different weapons, and the idea of gun game is that you get a kill with one weapon, you advance to the next one. And the original gun game, I believe, was you would start with the shittiest weapon and work your way up to the best weapon. And I think you get a kill, and then you'd have to wait for the round to end. The next round, you would get a better weapon. The thing about going through the worst to the best weapons was that if somebody got ahead, they would get really far ahead because you had these horrible weapons, and then you had machine guns and super sick sniper rifles and stuff. And the thing about having to wait every round is it took a long time. So the one that I ended up playing was reverse gun game. You started with the best weapons, went to the shittiest, so that if you were really far behind, everybody's way ahead of you can catch up because they've got these dog shit pistols, and you're running around with the first round machine gun because you died 12 times in a row. And then the other ones, they did things like a deathmatch where you deathmatch styles where you get killed and you just regenerate in the same round. But some of the servers I really prefer, you have to get 2 kills with each weapon, and then your new weapon generates automatically in your hands. So you don't have to die to get a new weapon, or you don't have to go through the end of the round. It's just 2 kills. So you actually have to work to get it. And that's the style I've really, really enjoyed. And that's the kind of thing. So we were talking earlier, Half-Life 2 was on the Source engine, and the engine being basically the system by which a game makes up the world, right? How bullets travel, how objects interact, the backbone of the whole game. And it's such a good platform. It behaves in a fun way to play a game, like a shooter specifically, and then it allows itself to be modified by the community, which is why the series has been around with, I think, only like 3 real installments in the last 25 years.
Yeah, the flagship Half-Life, there was 1, 2, and they took a stab at episodic content after 2. Half-Life 2 Episode 1 and Episode 2. That's as far as they got.
Yeah.
But these were like, beat them in a couple hours, charge you $10. They're fun for sure, and definitely explore other things. A big thing I didn't touch on was in Half-Life 2 was the gravity gun.
Wait, I'm sorry. I want to clarify. I was specifically talking about 3 installments of Counter-Strike.
Oh, Counter-Strike. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And the other reason, another thing that was it's really bare bones. Like the way that you move, it doesn't track with you just push the direction your character moves. You click on somebody's face, it hits it. Unless you're running,
there's no bullet time.
Yeah, it's not really certainly not a simulator like PUBG or Arma. It's just super bare bones, and it's like if you just want a simple 8-on-8 shooting match where you just got to try to kill the other team, it's great. Half-Life Gravity Gun, please tell us about it.
Yeah, so aggressively jutting back to the main series. Half-Life 2 introduced this thing called a gravity gun, and it there's like a technical name for it, of course, but who calls it that? Nobody. It lets you pick up, put down, or fire random objects in a specified direction when you're aiming. And shit like wood pallets, large boxes, crates, heavy shit, saw blades, gas canisters that explode, grenades that get thrown at you, cans of paint, that's fun.
Does it do any damage?
Paints a little bit, but it paints things white.
Oh, that's great.
but yeah, and they use that a lot for their puzzles as well. What else? Even things that it can't pick up, it can like push around. Like cars are too heavy, but if there's one in your way, you can just give it a zap and it'll just like nudge it a good like 2, 3, 4 feet, depending on the angle you hit it with. Break down barriers, disassemble them. There's a bunch of guys shooting at me. I'm gonna grab this side of steel sheeting.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Just like riot shield my way up to them, blast them with it, switch to a gun. Mm-hmm. Lots of creative ways to fuck with shit.
Definitely sounds like a couple of games that I would pick up on another Steam sale.
I would, if it ever comes up. If it's up right now, holy shit! But if it ever comes up, I'm defaulting to it. I don't care what they're charging. Half-Life 1 and 2. If there's a bundle, and with the episodes too, it's all worth it. The episodes just kind of fall off. Like there's no resolution.
Right.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Half-Life 2 wraps itself up in very much a similar way to the first game, giving nothing else away. But the episodes were supposed to continue, and there was supposed to be Half-Life 3, and there was all this anticipation and a huge fan base that still eagerly wants it. But I'm not expecting it.
Well, it was developed by Valve, right?
Valve, yeah.
And Valve pretty much just runs Steam, which is basically a marketplace for games. Mm-hmm. And the nice thing about Steam is that they make it in such a way that anybody with any level of computer can play most games. And they run really good sales, so shitty games that wouldn't get a lot of exposure.
And if the games are like even a little adequate, they'll offer them for sale.
Yep.
So you as a game creator, if it's one dude in his bedroom, like if your game's decent, people will buy it.
Yeah, and it seems like they've gotten to the point where they're like, yeah, we're not going to bother making games anymore. We're just going to sell other people's games, which, business decision, whatever. But people are still eagerly awaiting Half-Life 3. Genevieve, did you have a question as to why you raised your hand?
Actually, yeah, I have two. So the gravity gun, is that in the first Half-Life or just the second one?
Just the second one.
All right, and then the second one, I'm assuming yes, but...
Is the gravity gun strong enough to lift your man?
Nah, she's too fat.
I really hope she listens to this now.
Hey, fatty.
Is the second game, is it also set up like the first one in that there's no real menu or like...
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
Just loads area to area.
See, that's...
Really like that.
That sounds interesting.
I mean, really it also means that if the game saves in a spot where you're out of ammo and low on health, and
you're fucked.
You're staring at a wall of gunfire, you can fuck yourself.
Like permanently.
You can fuck yourself, but I mean, you can also just like
it seems
load
more
your previous save.
Real though, I don't know. Like it adds some more anxiety to the alien world where I'm a scientist person running away from aliens, shooting people.
It sounds like a lead up to the idea of permadeath.
You can also, sorry, but
we need to go.
I'm
gonna
let you finish. But while there is no in-game, like as you're playing stops, when you boot the game up, you can start from any level. I think they call them chapters.
Okay.
You can start mid-game. You don't have to play it straight through. But as you're playing, you're only interrupted to load the next area, and that's it. And it doesn't even go dark. It's just like freeze frame. Resume.
Yeah, but what I was getting into, this idea of permadeath, I don't know if it's becoming more popular.
Could you explain that?
Yes. In most games, read 99.98% of games, you create a character and your character dies. You either reset to the last time you saved the game or you reset to the last checkpoint, which is not a permanent save, but if you're progressing through a level or whatever,
save your place in that play of the level.
Right. But if you were to turn off the game, it would go back to the last save or whatever. Permadeath, you do all the things to create a character and navigate through some sort of challenge, but when your character dies, it is gone. The character's done. I think we're starting to see this appear more in roguelikes. Now, if we recall, roguelikes are very similar to, was it an old game called Rogue?
That would make
very
sense. Difficult,
randomly generated levels, big consequences, that kind of stuff. But a lot of roguelikes now, like when your character dies, you can retain some sort of resource like a power orb or gold or whatever, but your character is done and you get a new character with new unique traits that are randomly generated. So it changes, not only does the level change, but the tools that you are equipped with to navigate the level are also changed. Specifically, in my head, I can think of The Binding of Isaac. You guys familiar with that at all?
Heard of it.
No.
This is a very, very good game. I think you can get it between $5 and $10. And it started out, I think it started on the PC, got really, really popular. So they ported it. But The Binding of Isaac is somebody's like body horror nightmare drawn in a very cartoon style. But you're like a kid who's always crying in like a cartoony art style. And you run around in these dungeons, these randomly generated dungeons, and you shoot tears at your enemies.
What?
Until they die. Yeah, and it's like a one-hit death. And you can get certain currency that goes between lives, and basically you navigate these randomly generated levels, and you get to the very end, and on your way you find power-ups. Now there's like 200 power-ups in the game, but the ones that you find vary. Now this is really, really similar to another roguelike that we mentioned, Faster Than Light, where you navigate through the galaxy and you get different power-ups for your ship randomly generated. So really the part of the thrill is that you don't know what you're going to come across. So it's not like you can learn a really good combination of weapons and just build it every time. Because you might not even see it. You could get through a playthrough, be doing really hot, and you just don't get a good weapon. And you can go fuck yourself, says the game. But at The Binding of Isaac, you fight like horrible spider monsters and exploding Zambambarinos. And it's not quite like 8-bit art style, but it's very sort of primitive level of drawing, but it's still visually engaging. And each level you run into these horrible monster bosses. And like there's a big fat bloated poop monster or something. And like the humor is kind of juvenile. It all seems to revolve around like body waste and stinky stuff and gross animals. But it's a dope ass game, and all the little power ups you can get are awesome. I think, like I said, I think it's like $5 or $10, and it was so popular, they had to port it. You can get it on. It is a great game, but that's the thing. It randomly generates each time. But once your character's dead, you can't go back and replay that second level where you got beat. It's over. You just start again. You just try again. So in Haven and Hearth, we discussed that on the last podcast.
It's only one of those I ever played with permadeath. Only game with permadeath I ever played.
Yeah, and that's even more interesting to me because that is clearly an RPG where you can dedicate hours and hours and hours and hours to developing a character. An RPG being a role-playing game, so think a game where you have 10 different skills: wood cutting, fletching, fighting, fishing. You have 100 levels to advance through. You can put thousands of hours into these games. And this is a version of that where if you die, all those hours are gone. It's just done.
Yep.
It raises the stakes and it definitely changes your playstyle. It's basically the opposite of modern shooters. And we've discussed this before, and that's part of the reason I asked the question about Half-Life, how the health system works. It used to be back in the day that you took damage, and in order to heal, you found a health pack. And that ended up being too difficult for mass consumption. It just frustrated a lot of players. So now what they do is if you get in a lot of games, if you get hit, you can simply take cover and you will regenerate health. So you can take an unlimited amount of damage as long as you don't take it in doses that are too large. Much easier for the general population, much more consumable for more casual players. But the health pack was, definitely a harder system because, like Jake said, you could do a really shitty job on one section, hit a checkpoint, and beyond that checkpoint is a super duper hard set of guys, and you've only got 22 health out of 100. You're gonna get fucked every time. You gotta like reload the game from where you started and replay it in a better way. So I'm pretty. I don't know. I think with the advent of the Demon Souls into Dark Souls series, Dark Souls has become sort of a meme for how hard games are because you've played it, Chris.
Oh yeah.
It's basically you better get good or die, right?
Yeah, and get good quickly.
And this seems like I think that brought a resurgence in very difficult games where you don't see success all the time.
Like fucking Cuphead.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Cuphead's another one like that. Can you give us a brief summary of Cuphead again?
You're a cup with a body, and it's very vaudeville cartoon style. The artwork is beautiful, which is very deceiving because the game's fucking hard. It's a side shooter, shoot 'em up game, and it's real hard. It's real. Think Contra.
Did you ever end up beating it?
No.
How far did you get?
Not far at all.
Okay.
I might go. I might revisit it.
Wuss.
Yeah, I'm gonna revisit it, but I'm pretty deep in Fallout right now.
Well, it's definitely pretty. I'm pretty excited about this Tennessee difficulty. Now I don't play Dark Souls, honestly, because the art style is so grungy. It makes me uncomfortable.
Well, didn't they just recently remaster it?
I don't know.
They did. It came out last week or the week before.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't played it.
Is it worth picking up?
Every Dark Souls fan, I think so.
The remastered one, I meant.
Yeah, every Dark Souls fan, I think everyone I know who likes those games has picked up or plans to pick up the remaster.
Okay, all right, we might have to do that. But yeah, this idea of permadeath, I haven't played a more recent game where that happens, but it sounds pretty exciting.
Yeah,
and it makes it okay to be a coward.
Half-Life is not permadeath. I know it just kind of got your brain thinking.
Yeah.
Half-Life's not permadeath. Dark Souls and permadeath. Like, pretty rare because of how frustrating it is.
Mm-hmm. How did I even get started on permadeath?
I don't know. It was just maybe something to do with the progression of levels in Half-Life. How there's no like stopping, and how you can fuck yourself on a checkpoint.
Oh yeah. Okay. So we've got my big game discussion this week is going to be on another game that it looks just like a mod on the Source engine. It looks like a mod on Counter-Strike called Blackwake, but I don't want to get there yet. I want to get that after the break. Off the top of my head, I'm trying to remember another example of a game off the Source engine that was really great. Dave Defeat had a Source version.
Also a mod of Half-Life.
Yep. Now, what's that puzzle game? Portal.
Yeah, Portal.
Was that off of the Source engine?
Yes, it was.
That's a good game. What about that zombie shooter game, Left 4 Dead?
Left 4 Dead, I think, was on the Source engine.
It didn't. Sounds right.
It didn't utilize the physics as much, but I think it was anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not sure though.
It's pretty good. And the thing about Source and Unreal Engine is, another version of an engine that you can get. And it's funny, a lot of people use it to develop indie games, independent, like indie developer games. You get an eye for it and the basic assets of the engine. So when somebody builds a game, you're like, oh, that is a default engine asset. That they did no work on that fucking rock. I've seen this rock 1,000 times. But the big thing is they will simply release these engines for free because then more people use them and make their own games, and it helps propagate the usage of the engine and the popularity of it. And this is sort of an interesting thing. It reminds me of Nike shoes. Nike sells their shoes. There's a lot of money in it, but there is a huge market for secondhand Nike shoes. It's like hundreds of millions of dollars a year.
Yeah.
And I was like, why doesn't Nike try to get in on that? You know what I mean? Or like do something.
Like a refurb shoe?
Well, why don't they like try to get a piece of that pie, right? Yeah, I mean, there's so much money sitting there for things that they made. And somebody pointed out to me, like, the fact that there is a secondary market for Nike shoes means Nike sells more shoes because people will resell them. They're popular. More people get their hands on them, and more people want the new thing. And I thought that was a really interesting point. Okay, so pausing now for the Source thing because I want to save that for the after the break. Jake, can you give us a little bit on Fable and Fable 2?
Yeah. Fable 1 is really good.
Well, I don't even know what they're about. I've heard people go bananas over them, but RPGs
less over 2 and 3, but definitely over 1, at least for me. I'm a poet. It's like a medieval-y fantasy world, magic, swords, wizards, bandits, all that good shit. And it's established lore that there are heroes. There's a guild of heroes in the first game. And they, take jobs, help out the populace, are granted perks for being in the guild, and they train people, train you up. You are a little boy who lives in a little hamlet town called Oakvale at the start of the game. You're a kid, you fuck around. There's a very deeply ingrained karma system. I don't know how. It's not like particularly. It's as much aesthetic as it has impact. But every decision you make has a corresponding outcome. People, with repercussions, many of them. And also opens you up to, there's a handful of spells that favor good versus evil. Like if you're evil, you can use these, or you can master them, I should say. Whereas if you're good, you can't master those evil spells, but you can still use them, and vice versa. Your look changes. You'll get, when you max out good, you get a halo and like little white butterflies, or like, and then when you're evil, there's fire rises up from around your feet, and like you're all dark and shit. Yeah, so it looks badass. And Yeah, so that's a thing. So you spend the start of the game kind of just doing odd things. You have to earn enough gold to buy your sister a birthday present. You need like 3 gold. There's like 4 tasks you can do, and there's an evil and a good way, and there's even a couple neutral ways to get through them. So you do that, and then the town gets attacked by, and that's also a way of demoing the morality system, as well as a little bit of the economy, and a little bit of the all the basic mechanics are covered right there. And then the town gets attacked by bandits. Everyone's killed except for you.
Whoa.
Jesus Christ.
Whoa, that took a
These are more serious
dark
bandits than I'm
turn.
used to encountering.
Yeah, they kill everybody. They're about to kill you, and then a wizard shows up and kills the fuckers who are trying to kill you.
Oh,
and
you
saves your ass, takes you to the Heroes Guild, and you start your new life there.
If you had started off with a lightning bolt scar on your forehead, I would have fucking quit right now.
No, that does not happen. But you then learn how to sword fight, bow fight, and cast magic. And then you graduate, and then you're a hero, and you have to like start taking quests. And I think the first quest you get is to kill a wasp queen. Hooray! And you do that. You can boast about it to get more renown and gold if you fulfill certain tasks, like, oh, I'm going to beat it with my fists, which is really fucking hard, or I'm going to do it without getting hit, or I'm going to do it without any of the like other people getting killed. But it's totally optional. Your only required thing is to kill the fucking go to X, kill Y. There's a lot of that, but the story's kind of interesting. You have to kind of you have to earn enough renown to like get certain quests that'll then translate to the story progressing to and you can build your dude in a bunch of different ways. It's not terribly difficult if you know how to approach it, namely buy everything except for like buy every consumable item, buy them all. And the reason is they also integrated a supply demand system. However, they didn't flesh it out, so it's really easy to cheese.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, if you go to the very first trader in the first city, Bowerstone, and you walk up to him and you buy all of his apples and his apple pies and his, what does he have? I think it's meat. They just call it. But by all of his groceries, okay, he'll then no longer have any, so he'll be willing to pay more for them.
Oh no!
But there's no limit on how many more he will take.
So you can just sell all of them back.
So I can buy this man's apples. Let's say he has 1,000 apples, which is a lot, but believe me, it's very easy to get 1,000 doing this. And this is absolutely cheating, right? But it's just like so easy. Why not? He has 1,000 apples. He has a bunch of them. He doesn't charge very much. 1 gold a pop. Buy him for 1,000 gold. Shit, he's out. I'll pay you 3 gold for each one of those, sir.
Oh my.
Yeah, I'll take all 1,000 of them.
Yeah.
I just tripled my money.
Oh my god. And then
rinse, lather, repeat across everything in the game except weapons, which you can't do that with. But yeah. Or armor for that matter. But like all the consumables, the gifts and like jewels and shit, which of course compounds it because now instead of a 2 gold swing, it's like a 50 gold swing or a 200 gold swing.
Oh my god.
And before you know it, you have 300 emeralds and you're making 200 on each one of them.
Oh boy.
Oh
So you're just like, but by the time you get to the halfway point in the game, if you're doing this regularly, you can have every master weapon, a bunch of OP,
oh my god,
a bunch of OP armor, like, and also trading increases one of your 3 skill trees, air quotes, not quite trees really, but one of the 3. There's, I forget the real names, but it's might, magic, and skill.
Sex appeal.
Sure. And the skill one is things like stealth and archery and things, stealing, things like that, but also like negotiating good prices and shit. Every time you interact with a merchant, you gain some skill, and it's tied directly to how much gold you make. So you can also, it doesn't work quite as well. It's not as abusable, but you do get skill points for it. So if you walk away with 1 million gold profit from some schmuck trader who's never seen 1/10 of that in his life, like, I also gain a bunch of skill experience, and now I can go level up a skill real quick.
Sick.
Great. So that is a thing, and it's honestly, whatever. Fuck you, Fable. It's like, give me all my shit. Play the game the way I want. But I mean, it's pretty easy to, figure that out in the first place. My first playthrough, I figured that out. It was like, oh wait, the gold, because they tell you about it briefly, and then I export it, and I was like, oh, I'm turning a profit. How much of a profit? The Jew wheels are turning, baby. The Jewy. Jew.
Oh, boy. Well,
the Jew trains are coming.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah,
Oh,
in 3 days of gameplay, I beat the main story and the main. I didn't get everything, but I beat almost everything, and I have like 3 million in the bank, and I have nothing to spend it on except houses, which won't even put a single dent.
Are they boring houses like every game where you can buy a house? They just exist.
You can upgrade them. You can upgrade the interior. I think there's 3 tiers.
Oh.
So they can look pretty. You can get married.
You marry a rock?
No, but you can marry boys.
oh,
You can, but based on your renown and your goodness, and you even have an attractiveness and scariness stat.
Ooh.
Yeah.
can you be attractive and scary at the same time?
Yeah. It's hard to do both all the way up, but you can definitely have a lot of both, or one all the way up and a lot of the other.
Mm-hmm.
And there's tattoos and shit and clothing and stuff you can do to influence that. But yeah, there'll be a little heart that appears over people's heads, including married people.
You can be a homewrecker?
You can be a straight homewrecker, and they can't do shit about it. Because if you are leveling up your might tree, you get huge. you get 9 feet tall.
Wait, really? Your character changes?
Oh my
5,
god!
And
Is it really 9
feet?
feet?
I don't fucking
Ridiculously
gargantuan.
the better part of twice the size of a normal man. Let's say that. And if you level up magic, you age, you get old.
Oh, so don't do that.
Yeah, but
Don't
I
worry
mean,
about
it's trivial to level up all 3 trees, the whole way, and get a bunch of shit underneath them, and then you can just choose your playstyle from fight to fight, pretty easily. The magic system is kind of cool. It's not so much as, it's just a mana cast system. You choose spell, you hit the cast button, away it goes. But the spells are pretty fun, and
what's fun about them?
They're diverse and effective. There's the fireball that has area effect. You can level that up. There's the lightning, the chain lightning that you can chain together as you level it up and does more damage. There's one where you can possess people and make them fight for you for a limited time.
That's pretty cool.
You can.
I always like that kind of shit.
Yeah, but one where if you're an archer, where it's multi-arrow, so you cast it and you can when you draw on your bow or you cock the crossbow and you fire, multiple arrows swing out. There's the main one that goes straight and a bunch of others that fan out and arc toward the enemy. Multi-strike, where you hit someone with your weapon and it hits them multiple times on that one swing. Physical shield is game breaking because you cast physical shield and every time you get hit it depletes your mana instead. Well, because I'm buying every consumable item in the game, I have unlimited mana potions that are bound to 2 above, right over W on the WADS configuration. So I walk around physical, and you don't get staggered because your shield's active.
Oh my god!
So it's slow time. My go-to, is physical shield, slow time, mana potion, bunch of area of effects spells, or gigantic sword. Because you move at regular time and they're all slowed down. And you're just smacking around.
Chop.
See you later. Bye. So yeah, it's easy to feel powerful, but I've gotten killed anyway. They make that easy too because the resurrection files, you can only have 9 of them, but they use themselves. You just Phoenix down yourself whenever you die.
Oh.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. But it also makes it easy.
Yeah.
So, I have no problem being overpowered as long as the game is fun.
Yeah.
And the first Fable nails it for me. It's not that hard. It's challenging enough, and I can work to a point where I'm super fucking powerful. Right. Second game was I got rid of some shit.
Like what they get rid of?
Armor.
What?
Yeah.
All armor?
Armor.
Yeah.
Armor.
Just got rid of it. There's like in Fable 1 you could piece together each piece. Not 100%, but like these are the gloves I'm wearing, the pants, the boots, the shirt, the hat. Basic shit, right? You can do the same thing in another example. This is Oblivion and Morrowind. You can piece it all together, right? Skyrim got rid of it. Now it's an outfit. Now, is that true? No, I made that up. Fallout got rid of it.
Really?
Yeah. The point being, now it's you. This is your outfit. You have to wear the whole outfit. You can do nothing else to it. Fable, you could mix and match. Me, I wound up with plain armor shit, except my torso, I would wear the wizard robes. So I look like a fucking battle mage.
Mm-hmm.
It looked pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And and the fisherman's hat. Because I was John the Fisherman.
Oh my God.
And I would walk around fishing. And then killing things.
I'm disappointed that you weren't Porky Pig in it.
It's not Porky Pig.
Shirt, no pants, swinging free.
Oh my goodness.
If you eat too much, you get fat, so I could have just slammed a bunch of beer and pie and made him fat.
What the fuck?
It wears off with time as you're
Yeah.
active and shit.
Okay.
But you can just slam food.
Just
and
get
you
fat.
get
Wow, that
huge.
seems pretty advanced.
All
When
those
did that
apple
game come
pies.
out? That was early 2000s,
Early
right?
2000s, yeah. But kind of moving away from it, though, 2 and 3 in a nutshell, 3 especially, were just too easy and not very interesting.
Mm-hmm. So
I didn't beat 3.
There wasn't much of a challenge, and it wasn't engaging.
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
It almost felt like a kid's fantasy game, but it was rated M because of the blood.
I wonder why. Did they get rid of the team, or did they just try to milk it?
No idea. I would play 2 again. I probably will, but I never. And I do want to get through 3 just to say I did. I don't remember anything of 3. I know I didn't beat it. I know I didn't get very far. I remember it was one of the only games where I was like, I'm bored. I'm going to do something different. And I put it the fuck down on purpose.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is bizarre.
I don't think I've done that since. Not without getting through it, you know. 2, less so. It was alright. The worlds were cool. The graphics were better. The magic system was still in place. Combat wasn't any worse. But there were several years between it and the first game, and I would have liked to see some improvement. And then they got rid of some of the other shit I liked, such as the clothing options. And it just wasn't as interesting of a story.
Well, that sounds like a recipe for a weaker installment. I mean, it happens every once in a while.
It had more of a little bit of a steampunk vibe to it. Not too heavy, I thought. Whereas the first one felt like a storybook that was rated M because of the blood. And also some of the language, and you could fuck and shit.
What?
Wait, really?
There was a brothel.
Oh, okay.
The screen went dark and they made noises.
Full hardcore
Oh!
penetration on screen?
No, the screen went
exactly
dark.
not that.
Oh.
He just said that.
Did cows bang?
And then
They sure
titties get
did,
big?
Bill.
They like to do that.
That's all I'm saying.
The graphics are hilarious. They did not hold up.
Oh, really?
But honestly, that almost lends to the charm.
Yeah. I just imagine some big, blocky, 9-foot-tall, gargantuan, old, tattooed wizard
Not
monster.
quite blocky, but the faces in particular are ooh, Jesus Christ. Oh, man.
Do they have any voice acting, or is it all
Oh, yeah.
text? Okay, do their mouths move?
Yeah.
Is it is it like that clunky old animation where instead of like actually animating a change in face, they just stretch the models so the textures look really wonky when their jaw moves up and down?
Pretty much, yes.
Oh, yes.
Pretty much.
Oh, man, those are the golden days.
Yep. The first Fable really is a great game. I recommend it to everyone. And I think you can even play it on Xbox One now.
You know, I've heard some chatter that they're going to be releasing. Somebody's going to announce the PlayStation 4 soon. PlayStation 5.
Oh,
I don't know.
seems a little premature,
right? So maybe I was hearing it wrong. But there is a lot of chatter also that NVIDIA is going to announce their new video cards, which is pretty exciting.
What would that mean?
Well, it would mean that super duper video cards
will come down. But with Bitcoin mining, their prices are probably going to stay high until China ramps up production a lot. So we'll see. All right. It's a good time for a break. On the flip side, we'll come back. I think I want to talk about the Fallout announcement that just happened from Bethesda. Maybe Chris can talk a little bit about the handheld Fallout game he's playing right here. And I'm going to hit Blackwake. So we'll catch you on the flip side. All right, here we are. We're falling out of our chairs to tell you about Fallout.
Oh my God.
Listen, you might have paid for the full seat, but you'll only need the edge.
Nice.
Okay, what do you guys want to tell? With Bethesda released an announcement, Fallout Vault 76, which I don't know if there's any significance to that number.
Not really. Well, there is somewhat.
The only thing that I really noticed was that this storyline seems to be revolved around, oh, you guys are going to save the future. Vault 76 is going to fix the Earth. I actually got targeted for a 2-minute ad before a video I was trying to watch. I was like, good job, Google, because I am interested in whatever the fuck this is.
You did it. Vault 76 is all they gave us was a teaser trailer and the name. I think there was some mention of it being in the canon of Fallout 4. The nuclear apocalypse occurs on October 23rd, 2077. This vault was constructed in 2076, the year before, and it was a control vault. So most of these vaults of like the 1,000 or whatever exist in the lore. Not all of them are like fleshed out or anything like that, but they give themselves room to grow as a franchise in these games. Most of them are experiments on the occupants without their knowledge. The Vault-Tec setup. Fucked up shit. Ranging from the genuinely like insane and inhumane to more, or I should say less malicious sorts of things. I know there was one, I don't think it's in any of the recent games, but it was in either 1 or 2, or just mentioned in some of the extra lore, I think, where there was one man in the whole vault and the rest were women. Shit like that. Like, they're pricks.
Yeah.
Vault-Tec. So this was a control vault where it was just, we keep the people safe and the vault is allowed to open after a set amount of time, and then after that, be people. What you gotta do. And this is around 76. I think they gave a year, and I should have written it down, but I think they gave a year for when this vault opens and basically the game starts, or whether the game starts after that fact or not, we don't know, but I believe it's the earliest game to take place after the nuclear apocalypse. which has interesting implications for the factions who may or may not be involved, because many of them either don't exist yet or don't exist where the game's taking place at the time. So they'll have to do the Brotherhood of Steel was not on the East Coast in the existing lore until I don't know exactly when, but much later. So that's one of the major flagship factions just out of the game if they hold to it. They might retcon it some other way.
Might be the friendly league of unrefined iron.
It might, Bill. Just might. See, you got your thinking cap on today. And I can see I'm going to need mine.
Gotta keep up. You gotta keep up, man. It's birthday boy. I'm firing on all cylinders here.
That's your excuse for everything.
It takes place in what we think in Virginia/West Virginia. The theme song was, or the song they used was a cover of God damn it,
Country Roads.
Country Roads,
yeah. Which is about West Virginia, I think.
Take me home. After all the balls that fallen, blowing stuff up.
That's exactly right.
Shooting red roaches. Now we're people in the waste. West Virginia.
Yeah.
Ain't no trees. What the fuck?
I don't know.
Happy birthday to me.
But that's, I think, all we know. There's a lot of speculation as to what form the game will take.
Yeah, they said it was going to be it was going to be a multiplayer battle royale thing that kind of morphed into something else from what I'm hearing. And I'm even hearing that with the current iteration of people are throwing around game of the decade.
Whoa.
Fuck off. You know nothing about it.
Yeah, that was something I saw thrown around a couple times.
How the fuck would a Fallout battle royale work?
I don't know if I would like that, but from what I'm starting to gather is there is going to be quests, there is going to be storylines, and then there is going to be some multiplayer aspects of it. So it may end up being sort of similar, I guess, to how Metal Gear, there's some single offline stuff, and then there is some online stuff. It may end up being something along those lines.
I am not familiar at all with how Metal Gear Solid does multiplayer.
In 5, it doesn't, really.
Okay. Has there ever been in Fallout a multiplayer functionality?
No.
This is huge.
Yeah.
The fuck? How did they manage it in Metal Gear Solid?
There's those Jake, those missions that are in gold and stuff like that. You have to have an Xbox Gold membership to access those.
Well, and the
FOB stuff you need online, don't you?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the Metal Gear Solid 5, the closest thing it has to multiplayer are just passive, one-on-one stat battles between your base and other players' bases. There's no cost to it. It just takes real-world time and fills a particular point bucket. Metal Gear Solid 5 has way too many point buckets. But one of these buckets fills, and you can use these points to purchase. The big thing I buy is top rank personnel, because the leveling system for your base is also broken, in that it ramps way too high up, and then they put a bunch of endgame items way too deep into it. You don't need them per se, but it's I'm staring at this schematic I can't build. Sorry, hold a tangent. I love that game, but I have a lot of, Fallout 4, I have a lot of little gripes with it that add up to a general frustration, despite my still playing them both all the time. Damn it. But yeah, there is no PvP where there's any type of stakes or active participation in Metal Gear Solid 5.
So
in 4 or 3, one of them I think there actually was.
Yeah.
What?
Oh wait, I'm thinking straight. I'm thinking Metal Gear Survive.
Oh, Survive.
That hunk of shit.
That game we don't speak of.
Right.
I don't have a clue what the fuck that is.
It's a survival game based on a multiplayer online survival game with Metal Gear Solid, and it was not good.
Is it multiplayer?
Yeah.
Okay, so first off, for those who don't recall, Battle Royale is really popular, relatively new. Well, it's a newly popular genre. Think PlayerUnknown Battleground, aka PUBG, and Fortnite. I'm sorry, Jake was shaking his bag of gummy worms.
I mean gummies, boy.
And I thought you were gesturing at me, and I could not interpret what shaking violently the gummy worms.
Well, I was
meant.
using it to hide the hand on my crotch while I'm looking at you, big boy.
Okay.
Well, you should be used to this by now.
Happy birthday to me.
I got a present for you.
Have a big gay birthday.
Is it sweet death?
Afterwards.
Not yet.
Birthday, death day.
First, I'm going to make you suffer.
Birthday, death day.
Yeah, so that's popular right now, and hearing that Fallout was going to try that. The game, it's an RPG. I mean, it's sort of a shooter, but so much of it depends upon behind the scenes stats building. I just don't know how on earth you would translate that over to a first or a third person shooter with 50 other players. It just seems like it would be a reskinned game whose engine isn't meant for actual shooters.
The important thing to note is we know very little. We know almost nothing.
Okay. Yeah. Why do they even bother to release the teaser? Because people aren't nearly.
Isn't E3 coming up?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
They'll probably do something more.
Yeah, I think they definitely said there's going to be a gameplay.
Well, one of the things Bethesda does best, it seems, is at least with the IPs it chooses to, namely Fallout and Elder Scrolls, is keep things under wraps until they decide to give us anything more.
What is E3 for people who don't know?
I don't know what it stands for, but it's a big. It's the biggest, most popular gaming convention, where all the big companies show up and have a spiel and their booths and new stuff gets announced.
If anybody from that organization is listening, we're pretty big time. You know, we'll get you a lot of publicity. You just got to get us into that really exclusive area.
Got a huge fan
Yo,
base.
Bethesda, I got a huge boner for your games. Please return the favor.
Okay.
Give us your boners.
Fax us your boners.
Happy
Let
birthday to
Porky
me.
Pig characters be made. Come on.
All right. So we don't really know anything, but are you guys excited about it?
I'm intrigued.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tickles your fancy?
I'll almost certainly play it, but how excited I'll actually be for it, we'll have to wait until we learn more.
Okay.
I'm also, me being the patient gamer that I am, I'm going to be hesitant, obviously, to buy it upon release.
Well, you just got Fallout 4, right?
Yeah, just now,
That is
finally.
some crazy patience. It's been out for what, 2 years?
Yes.
2.5.
Yeah, somewhere along those lines.
Wow.
But I got the Game of the Year edition. It was like $40.50, and I got
That's a great reason to wait.
and I got all the DLC.
Oh, that's cool.
So
What do you think of it so far?
I fucking love it. I absolutely love it, and I've already put way over 40 hours. So
No way.
my dollar. So yeah, over 40 hours in 2 weeks. So
Jesus.
yeah, I'm playing it a lot.
That's a part-time job.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Um,
Yes, it is.
I'm glad I have Jake to help me, because the learning curve was tough at first, but like now that I'm like much further into the game, I'm
Does he wrap his arms around yours,
Yeah.
put his hands over his thumbs over
Yeah.
your thumbs on the controller?
Jacob, take the wheel.
Oh my God. I was picturing more of that scene from Ghost
Also, yes.
with
Yeah.
Patrick Swayze and Whoopi
God.
Goldberg.
No, it's not Whoopi
Whoopi.
Goldberg.
Isn't it Whoopi Goldberg making out with Whoopi Goldberg possessed by Patrick Swayze?
What?
Making out with the lady while they're doing pottery.
I haven't seen this. I don't know.
And take my breath away.
I don't think. Oh my
that's
goodness.
Top Gun.
Yeah,
I
you're
knew-
mixing up
I
a
knew
whole
that
bunch of
part.
things here. You are confusing
I
everyone.
knew that part.
God.
Oh my goodness.
I just remember from Ghost or whatever that movie's called,
It's
which they should remake with Patrick Swayze's actual ghost
Swayze's.
now. The villain is killed by a broken window falling on their torso and stabbing them with a shard of glass. I was like, that was fucking brutal.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot to see as a kid. But how far along in the game are you?
I'm in the mid-20s level. I got quite a bit done. Still have a lot to do. I'm pretty much doing a Minutemen stealth build as my first run through.
What
It's
is
proving quite difficult.
premature ejaculation.
Minutemen. Okay, yeah. But like, how do you do that? Like, what do you have to do to make that a...
Basically, I'm doing the Minutemen quests and doing their faction stuff.
So it's like it's a group.
Yeah, the Minutemen are
okay.
a group. Yeah, and I'm trying to do it as stealthy as possible.
Okay.
And it's quite difficult.
Are you just running around crouched everywhere?
Doing that a lot.
Running on his knees.
Yeah.
That was
use
fun.
of suppressed
They're
weapons.
like super cute little Oh, dirty jokes.
Yeah.
Shut up, Bill. Fuck you.
Fucking Bill.
You could intervene and take control again.
It's my birthday.
No.
It's your birthday. Your birthday on a Sunday.
Birthday, death day.
It's not my birthday today. My birthday's another day. It's just my birthday weekend. Wait, what were you talking about? Your fucking knees or whatever?
Yeah, being on his fucking knees.
On my fucking knees, boy.
Oh my god. All right.
I thought Cardi B
You
was
got
in
more
here
to
for
talk
a
about
second.
Fallout 4, because if not, tell us about this fucking mobile game you're playing.
Oh, and I was gonna. Oh, yeah, and then also keeping your distance from everything too helps with all that because you get like grip points and you get like a 3 times bonus for doing it at a sneak. So I'm working on that a lot. So that's all. It's fun. It's challenging, but it's fun.
You really are the sneaky C.
Yeah, the sneaky C.
Also sneaky cancer.
Sure.
Reference to another episode.
Very good.
You're done. You're off the podcast. Don't.
You're
What the
fired.
fuck was that mouth sound? No.
How is it you're bothered by that?
You're all fired. All 3 of you.
No.
I am
Refuse.
now 2 guns.
It's
Hello.
just Jake talking for 3
so,
hours.
me, what do I think about this? Well, me.
Sure do like gummy worms.
Sure do.
But
Want
really-
some myself? Don't mind if I do.
Gummy worms has got to be a sexual euphemism.
Gummy worms.
For
Yeah.
what? Pushing rope?
Yeah, push and rope.
Oh.
Get your gummy worm out of me. Why was
Wait,
I the
what
bottom
was?
in that relationship?
Why?
Are these
Take a guess.
Why did you go deeper for the voice too? Like,
Hey, baby.
Get your gummy worm out of me.
hole.
Let me taste that gummy worm, boy.
Jesus. What do fucking worms
Is this a
crawl
euphemism
Be like,
for
wow, this is
impotence?
this is a horrible imitation of Frank. Like, I don't
What?
understand.
Frank's always hard. He's made of steel.
through? Fallout Mobile.
He's gotta- he's
But what
gotta
about
oil
his
him up
floppy
a bit.
disks?
Chris doesn't like Fallout enough to actually talk about it on the show, so I'm making dick jokes.
Oh, you don't. Oh, what? You guys just want to talk about dicks?
Making dick
No. Not at all. Never.
Speaking of dicks,
Dicks.
Oh my God. Dick Cheney.
fuckbots.
Fuck Bob.
Chris, you were literally playing the mobile game right now. Just
Yeah.
start
What
talking
is the
about
game?
it.
Like, what do you do in the
You were
game?
sitting next to me with the fucking thing in your hands.
It's called Fallout Shelter,
And it's not his dick.
and it's not my dick, but it gives me a little tingly feeling down there because I'm enjoying my time playing it.
Mm.
So light arousal.
Light arousal.
From playing the game, you basically
Gentle arousal.
you create little and there's an impregnation in the game as well.
Oh, really?
See,
How's-
this was relevant the entire time.
What
See?
is-
like I brought us right into it because you basically get to make compartments that you do things for your vault. There's the living quarters where if you drop women there, they have a chance of becoming pregnant,
Ah.
which increases the number.
From
of,
what I hear, that requires dicks.
yeah,
You
Most
put
of the
a-
time. Most of
You,
the time.
you put a man there too,
yeah.
Yes.
and the game stops them if they're related.
Oh, wow. The
FYI.
game's smart.
How related?
I don't know.
How many
Enough.
degrees?
I work with a guy who's raising rabbits. And you can breed parent to child, but you can't breed siblings
Hmm.
for rabbits. So I wonder if this game operates off those rules.
It doesn't because these are supposed to be facsimiles of people. So no,
Not rabbits.
right.
Okay.
Ah.
They're about as dumb as rabbits sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're real dumb. So, like in battle, sometimes I'm just like, really? Like, what are you doing? But okay.
They get in battles with each other?
No.
Yeah, they fucking rumble. They get stir crazy.
That's what I would imagine. Like,
I mean,
oh my God, wait.
Jake, you're much further into this than I am. Do they kind of get at each
other? Are
other?
you both playing
ever?
it right now?
No.
Are you playing it right now?
Insanity factor.
So you're both playing it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. See, I imagine a great feature would be to have, if you breed too many humans, and then they have a carrying capacity limit, that
Well,
they end up
get into that shit yet because that's all already there.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They end up killing each other, or they just start dying off because of food?
I'm sorry. They won't fight each other. They'll just get pissed and sad.
And then just cry in a corner and die?
And both
Can you play with each other?
No.
No?
Single player.
Oh, okay. You just play in proximity to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's our thing lately. You'll be playing Fallout.
Yeah, I'm playing Fallout on my PC, and you have your account on my Xbox, and we're just next to each other playing Fallout 4 at the same time. Because we're butt buddies.
While we're playing Fallout Shelter at the same time during load screens.
That's just very, that's the last couple days.
This is very recent development in our
Now,
Fallout
question.
experience.
Does the game stop when you close out of it, or is it like
certain things still happen?
Okay.
Yeah, like they'll still gather their resources while you're away. I don't know. I haven't it hasn't happened to me, but you won't get it. Okay, there. He's a mind reader.
What were those games called? Like the little pocket pets, like
Tamagotchis.
Thank you. Yes.
Those
oh my
fuckers?
God.
This is more like an ant farm version of that.
Yeah.
With guns.
Ah.
Right, like right now, one of my compartments is on fire, and I'm not going to send a pregnant woman in there, but you send people in there to kind of like put the fire out because it will spread throughout your vault.
Huh.
Oh God.
You can't just close all the doors and vents and everything and let it.
No.
Eventually
it'll work itself out, but
you
lose resources, things like that. When that happens,
is it like a survival game? Is there an end state, or do you just?
It's more like a management game.
Yeah,
you have to manage the vault's resources, keep everyone happy, fend off attackers, until you max out the vault. Max capacity is 200 people. There's a decent bit of building space to build new compartments.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of things attack it? Mondus?
Yeah,
Raiders.
Most of the Mondus from the main games.
Is the combat? Like, do you do it at all? Or is it just it handles its own based on the tools?
The only thing, only interaction with it is equipping your vault dwellers and choosing what rooms they occupy. And during an attack, what you can do is, or during an incident, because it's not always an attack, it might just be a fire, you can put people where you want them to be. So now rooms have limits, but like in my vault, for example, there's a room where it has a limit of 4 people, but there's only 2 in it at any given time. Now, they have very good weapons, and it's the first room that intruders will go to when they break down the door. But I'll always send 2 others to join them just for the incident, and when the incident's over, they'll go back to where they were stationed originally. Likewise, you can swap.
That's really nice because me being the forgetful motherfucker I am, I would leave them there. So it's nice to put them back where I initially wanted them, where they're at that particular time the most useful to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's really a city management game, resource management. Combat, there's little animations, but it's just like timers start, damage outputs are calculated, damage resistances are calculated, and health bars fall accordingly. And if your stats are better, you win.
Very cool. So it's fun? Still fun?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it came out in advance of Fallout 4.
Mm-hmm.
2.5 years ago, but it was pretty bare bones. I just picked it up again recently because I don't even know why I heard it referenced somewhere, but they added a bunch of shit to it, so it's not just city management. There's some add-ons, quests. There are loot boxes and things you can pay for to make the game go faster, but all those things are acquirable at a reasonable rate by jumping certain hurdles on your own. And in 3 days, I haven't spent any money. I've got almost 80 people in my vault, and I'm trucking along really good. And I feel like I've accomplished something. So for something that's free to play, well worth the time. The pay shit while it's there, it's not obnoxious.
That's good. That's a nice balance to walk.
Yeah. I was gonna ask if there's jobs in do your people have certain jobs? Okay.
Yeah.
So you can't just throw people around like, I need a body over here doing this.
You can, but it's not efficient. Like they're depending on their stats will be where they're best suited. So you just kind of like drag them over like each like little room, and it'll tell you how much like extra or how good like they're suited for it. And then you also go by their happiness. If they're happy with their job, obviously you'll have the most return on your resources by having them there.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Okay, so I think I'm going to check that out. I guess our listeners.
Oh, and it looks great too. Like it really is a very beautiful game. Like if you really
beautiful.
Take a look at
that art
around,
style is really
it's
sharp.
It's sharp.
All the dwellers are in the style of the Vault Boy.
Oh
yeah.
And when
in a 3D environment.
The Vault Boy, like
wow,
Pip
when you
Boy?
scroll the screen around,
Yes.
the perspective changes on your view of
Isn't that
the vault.
great?
That's really, really nice.
Likewise, when you tilt, a little bit of flare.
Whoa!
But if you zoom out as far as you can go, it'll actually all flatten to both save RAM and to like make it more efficient moving around once your vault gets big.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
Pretty
Nice.
Definitely some clever things.
Some nice 3D effect on here. It maintains that 1950s nuclear public service announcement art style that Fallout has become to be known as for.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Wow, that was a mouthful.
Yeah, I really like the way that this looks, and if it's a solid game, why not?
I think it's worth checking out. It's super addictive. But
I'm definitely hooked on it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, we can go into more depth about it. The shit like one of the things you do is send your vault dwellers out into the wasteland to scavenge. And again, you want them to have decent equipment, enough healing items to kind of manage themselves, and they'll heal themselves out there for as long as they have stim packs. And but what they added since the first time I played the game were random encounters for these folks who are outside, which kind of harkens back to the original Fallout, and I think even Fallout 2, where the maps were like the overmap. The world map was just very minimal. This is a 90s point-and-click RPG, right? So very minimal, and like you would go to the spot where you want to walk to, and there was just a dotted line that you traced down there, and during that trace you might get stopped, and there'd be just a patch of desert with some scorpions in it, or a raider gang, or a dude who's asking for water or something, and they were random. And then you would deal with it. You'd flee if you could, or if you wanted to, and progress on with your journey. Similar idea here. Your dwellers who are out scavenging will, come upon supermarkets, gas stations, whatever, and you can choose to ignore it or have them go in. And if you tell them to go in, which I have always done at this point, it's whatever building it is. You walk in, and there's your random encounter. It might be the Brotherhood of Steel, who are like, we're confiscating all technology. And then if a speech thing comes up, you choose how to respond. And if you choose the one where it's like, oh, can you share something? They'll like give you some junk, which junk is valuable. Or you can antagonize them and have a fight, which I haven't even attempted because I'm nowhere near taking on the Brotherhood yet. Or it'll be just like someone's house. They need Proud Roaches cleared out. You do that, find some loot, bounce, send them back to scavenging again. It's kind of cool because it like loads a little. I'm actually in one right now on my phone, in the middle of a dialogue actually, which I'm going to promptly ignore. Unfortunately, it's actually a quest. Another thing they added, fucking quests, where it loads a new game environment. You actually have to like track people down. I mean, it's not terribly sophisticated, but this one I'm just looking for a missing person, and I've cleared out this building by just having the guys go to each room one at a time, looting stuff, fighting ghouls in this case, it's different enough. Like I'm never bored. Like even in the times, I mean, sometimes you're just waiting for buckets to fill, right? You're not necessarily moving people around or actively managing. But for a free-to-play cell phone game, those times are surprisingly few and far between. And when they show up, I can just turn on real Fallout 4. Just play Fallout 4 and then have the phone in front of me.
Oh my goodness.
And then I can pause Fallout 4 to do shit on that. because that's been my entire weekend this week, and I'm pretty okay with it. I'm pretty okay.
Hey, are those headphones still pumping the sound through?
What?
This is a note that the viewers aren't going to... Jake has headphones that he wears, and then he's taking them off his head, and I want to put them on. They're still playing sound.
They are. Great thing to bring on the mic.
Hey, whatever.
Yep.
We're painting a picture with words. This is how the magic happens, right?
I think this is just Bill's secret tactic to not listen to anyone and just start talking about what he wants.
Well, I am getting ready to talk about Blackwake.
Here's the thing. He'll be able to hear all of us much clearer.
Oh, yeah, I guess it's true.
Oh, no.
Sucker.
It's true.
This is pretty cool. It always freaks me out at the very beginning because I hear my voice twice, right? And my brain says, well,
I've gotten the delay down pretty well. Hey guys, do you like this technical talk about delay time between our voices hitting the mic and then coming out of the earpiece for me to check levels and make sure everything sounds good?
Everybody who listens to us, they wonder how do you make such a high quality product, you know? And
Yep.
so.
Yeah, clearly that's it.
That's what the people are asking.
Never mind the background fuzz that's a little louder than normal because I don't want to turn off the air conditioner in my window.
Yeah, it's pretty warm. It's pretty warm in the state in which we're Pennsylvania. We said that before. Okay. Anything else about this Fallout mobile game?
It's fun.
If you play cell phone games, pick it up.
Yeah.
Give it a try.
It's free.
Or tablets.
Reminds me to ask, are you still playing Pokemon Go?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. I guess you can play 2 games at once.
Oh, yeah.
They don't care. Don't have to be exclusive. All right. Teased a little bit earlier on, Blackwake. Now, this game we actually reviewed in a Steam sale, like our last section that we usually do on Sundays, and we all were like kind of tickled by how it looked. It looked like a goofy version of the Source Engine Counter-Strike, but for pirates. And a lot of the videos showed a mode called Siege, where you sail ships at a fort, and the other team shoots you from the fort, and you try to capture the fort, which I guess is accurate to the time. At some point, pirates might have attacked a fort somewhere in the 1700s or whatever, whenever ships were sailing around.
There's no ships anymore.
What? What are you talking about?
You just said, when ships sailed around.
Oh, yeah, okay. I guess that's a good point. You know, I always get the 1500s. Weren't people living in castles and shit the 1500s, and then apparently in the 1700s we had ships sailing around?
Yeah, there were no ships up until the 1700s.
I don't know, man.
None.
Cannons and sailing around and Christopher Columbus and
all these things were gradual.
Wait, Christopher Columbus did that in 1492. I just have such a hard time resolving medieval knights and kings and queens and King Arthur.
Ships have been around for a long time.
I
remember
know,
Vikings?
But the ships that you're thinking of are pretty advanced.
Dude, a lot of medieval stuff. Most people are thinking the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
Right?
What years were that? 1200?
We'll be generous and put it at 600 through 1200.
That's about right.
Maybe a little less.
And then what the Renaissance was?
A little shifted a little bit. The Renaissance was in the 15 and 1600s.
Wait, what happened in the 1300s? Anything?
What am I thinking? Is Baroque 16 or...
Well, here's the thing: is a lot of shit was going on all over the fucking earth at all times.
So everyone's at different phases.
So when Europe was in its dark age, Baghdad was the cultural and scientific center of the world. It's where 2/3 of the visible stars in the sky were named. They have Arabic names. It's the reason why we use Arabic numerals in the English language, and almost all languages around the world use Arabic numerals. Algebra, algorithm, all these mathematical terms, all these science terms, because when Europe was dodging their own shit, the Middle East was booming.
But here's my issue. Were the peasants still wearing Robin Hood clothes, walking around in the mud and cow shit, and sailing cool ships around,
and they were
being
foxes.
pirates?
Yeah, that's the thing. Is some of these people were building castles on land, fucking around on land, and other ones would leave the land on boats.
But
for a little while.
But these ships had cannons, and these cannons are serious business, and I just don't see castle dwelling, dum-dums shooting cannons at each other.
I'm looking up
they
when
had
the
cannons
cannon was
on
invented.
the castles later on.
What?
Yeah, dog.
Wait, what?
Yeah, there's cannons and castles.
No.
That's how you
Artillery,
defend.
dog.
No, they only had
Yeah.
catapults and trebuchets
You're
and
drunk.
ballistas. No,
You're
dude.
hammered, wasted, birthday
I
boy.
just remember, I think it was the Turks or the Ottomans or something, came up with this plan. They shoot their cannons at castle walls in a triangle, and that did extra damage.
What?
Yeah.
What do you mean in a triangle? Like,
Instead of just shooting a projectile at the same spot on a wall in a castle, they would shoot it in a triangle. And for whatever reason, that broke down the walls even faster. And then they went, all right, castles are dog shit now. But
Cool story.
well, okay, we're like the period of like 1300 to 1750 is very difficult for me to visualize.
all of these technological pieces, cannons, boats, tanks, guns. Not tanks.
Yeah,
Not
But
tanks.
okay, smart
Tanks.
guy.
They had tanks in medieval
Aeroplanes,
times, right?
UFOs.
The
all
old-timies.
these things develop gradually over time into largely independent of one another.
Okay, so when was
So there might
Napoleon?
not be.
Cannon was invented in the
distinctive
13th
picture.
century.
Okay, when was Napoleon rocking and rolling?
1500s?
No.
Late, hold on.
18.
Is it 18? Yeah,
Mhm.
because that's...
Yeah.
The 1800s, Napoleon was fucking around while we were having our Civil War.
Yeah, because it was
Yeah,
the French
Napoleon-
Revolution was right
yeah,
after
dude.
the
What?
American one.
But Napoleon, like their guys were like,
Uh-huh.
oh my god.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, boy.
Okay.
When you start to that you're having a moment that I had when I was taking my music history 3 class, when you start to like realize where things started actually overlapping, you're like, oh fuck, wait, it's a lot sooner. That was more recent than it sounded.
Napoleon Bonaparte.
Yeah.
1769 to 18 something.
1821, he died. Well, all right. Well, So here's the thing that I'm getting at. You've seen Robin Hood. They're all wearing these folded cloth hats. Their shoes are made of sacks with rope.
I mean, it is.
We
kind
went
of
from
a
that technology
story.
to cool leather boots, long leather jackets, a guy named Blackbeard putting burning rope in his beard so he's extra spooky. All right. And that seems like a big technological jump to have these huge ships with cannons rolling around the ocean, not everybody dying because the ocean's dangerous. After they were like, let's poop out a hole on the top of this castle and let's surround a castle for 7 years to eventually win. It just seems like a major leap,
Well,
That's
look
how
at how far ahead
technology
like the
works.
Greeks were. Look at how far ahead that even the dwellers of Atlantis were. They were fucking around with lasers and shit.
Did they build the Stargate or did they find it?
What?
I'm done. You're all fired.
Again?
Look,
Double
I
fired.
just, I don't. Okay, all right. Like, I know, like in year like 0, like Jesus was doing his thing.
Bill, there's a really, really good video out there on the internet right now. It's about 20 minutes long, and it's pretty much the entire span of humanity in a very, very easy to digest. Perfect for you. You're in your amateur brain or elementary.
Whoa!
Yeah.
What?
To be fair, you were this perplexed by the movie. I don't know if I even remember it. A Troll in Central Park, because he couldn't understand the trolls' tech, aka their magic, and the entire movie, you were watching it. You just kept asking, how do these trolls have this kind of tech?
Yeah, it was Troll in Central Park. So I fondly remember.
Was it? Did you take a trip to New York?
Oh, fuck. Wow. No,
Was this
okay.
a documentary?
No,
And he's
but-
still confused by how that tech works.
Autobiographical
No, but I think
film.
Netflix should give us a budget.
Is
We'll
this
make
is this
that.
is this your vlog on YouTube?
Oh boy. No. So I like fondly remembered
Just here at Central Park.
these
Trolling around.
these strange cartoon movies from my childhood, like We're Back, A Dinosaur Story, still holds up.
True.
At one point, they put screws in eyes, and that's still freaky. But then I think there was Thumbelina. I think
That's another one.
I
Classic.
think that was good. There was the Sherlock Holmes.
Mouse Detective.
Mouse Detective. That was good. And I was like, oh, I remember this cool cartoon about some goblin or something with a green thumb, and he made plants. And I looked it up, and it was a troll in Central Park, and it was fucking painful. Like,
it was terrible.
I was watching it for free on a website, like laying in bed. I think we were like, I might have even been drinking, and I still couldn't get through it.
I think we were both drinking, and it was.
It was. Whoever the voice actor was, they're like, what do kids like? I don't know. I'll just go, look at these plants over here. Yeah, and then he would like tumble down something like a hill or a slide or a chute,
Because that's
and then
what
a
trolls
bird
do.
and then a bird would swoop in and almost eat it. And you go, whoa, that was so crazy. Look at this city. Let me make flowers. Like, that was a rough one. That did not hold up. Okay, I don't get, like, I really need. Maybe I'll watch this video. What's it called?
I don't know what it's called. I think it's just like the history of humanity or history of the world.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just Google that or YouTube that and see what happens.
Because we opened up Japan by hitting them with cannons from steamships in like the 1800s, right?
Hiroshima, right?
Jesus Christ.
It's Hiroshima, right?
A little before that.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God.
We actually knew who they were before 1944.
Did we?
Or five.
Yeah, we said trade with us, and they went, yeah. And we said,
It's a country of bearlets?
And and then we go, how about these apples? And these apples were big rounds from cannons and guns.
What?
That's what we did.
What is this metaphor?
It's not a metaphor. We literally sailed up. The United States sailed up and said, trade with us. And they went, no. And we said, okay, we're going to shoot at you for a while. And then we did. And then they said, okay, we'll trade.
We bullied them?
Yep.
We literally shot them with cannons.
Because they wouldn't give us their spices.
And they were like,
I don't know what came out of Japan.
A lot of back then, like the big thing for trade was spices.
Yeah, did Japan
That's why
have a
Christopher
special
Columbus
spice?
went. He was trying to get to India to get spices.
Maybe they were exporting Batman.
Maybe.
Grow them for 7 years in Japan.
how that works.
Yeah. I'm okay. I'm just having a hard time. It seems like nothing happened for a long time, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Hey, we're shoveling mud with the plague on us," and then the next day everybody woke up and was a cool leather wearing pirate guy.
Yes, farmers directly correlated
You're
to
describing
pirates.
my typical week. By Friday, I'm just shoveling my own shit around.
Okay,
But Monday you're a pirate.
Leg.
Are you,
Saturday morning,
Oh, okay.
you're familiar with
I'm swashbuckling.
scurvy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, every fucking week.
Yeah. If you don't get
Lots
enough,
of orange peels.
if you don't get enough
my God.
vitamin C, you get the scurvy. Your teeth fall out, and other things happen. I don't know, but the English, I think, used limes. They carried limes around so that you wouldn't get the scurvy. So the nickname for the English was limeys, right?
You limey bastard.
So Paz, our English friend who has been on the podcast, came over, and I called him a limey, and I was like sort of worried it would be offensive. He'd never even heard the word. We're not doing a good enough job of informing them of
Our insults for them.
Yeah. That's the most useless burn is one that somebody doesn't understand or care about. Okay,
The
so
only useless burn.
what?
The only useless one.
Oh, okay, yeah. I didn't track it all. Okay, here we go. So no matter how we got there, at some point in history,
Pirates.
this game, we were watching it on the end of the week segment, end of the week sale, Sunday night sale, Steam sale Sunday that we did.
Steam,
And
Sunday
it all
games.
looked like a lot of fun, but I think it was a little out of our price range, so none of us were like, man, we're not going to try it. And it was early access, which is oftentimes a bit of a turnoff because nobody wants to pay for an incomplete game, and games nowadays tend to stay in early access for far too long. Read 6 years. So a buddy of mine, Carl, who's also been on the podcast, he picked it up and he told me I should buy it. And I said, I don't have the $12. You know what I'm saying? I got to spend it on anything else. So he sent me a copy, which was really cool. And I got playing it, and turns out it's fucking awesome. Yeah. So like it runs on the Counter-Strike, like it runs on the Source engine, the same thing as Counter-Strike. I think it's Source, whatever the modern version of it is. And so your guys move around. You have the WASD keys, and they move in an unrealistic fashion in every direction. And everything you're holding in your hand appears directly in front of your face. So you have like, you know, an old-timey rifle. Well, it's really a blunderbuss. Oh, and you have a healing item. And if you're the pirates, it's tea. No, if you're the pirates, it's rum. If you're the Navy, it's tea. But you all hold it in front of you really unrealistically. And when you're interacting with other things, like if your ship is hit with a cannonball, it takes damage. It gets a hole in it. If you have a hole, your ship begins to sink. You can fix the hole with a hammer. So you pull out your hammer and you look at it and you just swing it through the air. And
this will fix it.
You hear a sound effect for your hammer on wood, but it's clearly not actually contacting it.
Yeah.
And as a little bar fills up, and then it's fixed, and then your ship's not sinking anymore. The way that the character first off, if you look down in first person view, you don't see your own feet.
Sure.
Good sign.
Solid.
Second off,
it's true.
when people run around, like if they lean back and lean forward, their legs do not react at all. So the bottom of their stomachs just act as like a perfect horizontal hinge.
Oh my God.
So you can swing from leaning all the way back to all the way forward in 1/4 of a second. Just really quick.
That was part of like the requirements to be in the Navy. Back in the day, you must bend perfectly like Gumby.
And in part of the emote, one of the emotes in the game is a laugh. Now, the voice acting in this game is
stellar.
Amazing. It's taking the piss so hard. And like the laughing is so people will do this stupid laugh and shake their characters back and forth really quick. And like a signature thing of the Source engine is you can stack characters on top of each other as long as you can climb up, and there's like no, so you have a hitbox with an invisible space that represents where your character occupies, so you can stand on somebody else's hitbox as they're rocking back and forth violently laughing. Then there's invisible space between your body and the person standing on top of you.
Perfect.
Who is also violently rocking back and forth while there's 10 more people around each other not having any collision as they rock back and forth going there's like 28 people on a team doing this before you build any ships at the beginning of the game.
I need
Oh my God.
Wow.
But another signature thing about the stupid engine is that climbing ladders looks terrible. Just terrible.
Why?
So like you run towards a ladder and you have to be looking slightly above perfectly horizontal in order to go up it all.
worst.
The more up you look, generally the faster you go. But your character models, as you're watching them, they don't interact with the ladders at all. Their feet just move as though they're running, and the character moves vertically.
Perfect.
In order to go down the ladder, you have to look down. But it's really easy to look so far down that you run off of the ladder and plummet to your death.
In the water?
So you actually do sail around on ships. And the big point of the game is to keep your ship alive. Now, where do I want to start? I'll start with the different versions of gameplay. So there's one called Siege, and it's in experimental mode. Whatever that, I guess, means they're balancing it. Now, the developers of this game are really, really actively engaged in it. There are often patches, and things are often improved, and they listen to a lot of feedback. Very, very good sign. Strong developer engagement on a $12 game in early access. It's promising, and the game is already really, really enjoyable. So, Siege involves ships. There's 3-on-3 deathmatch ship combat, straight up ship combat. Think, and you have what's tickets. Basically, it's number of lives that each team can lose before they lose the match. And then there is capture the booty, which is basically just capture the flag, but you don't have a limited amount of lives. You either capture the booty 4 times. Used to be 3, but they listened to the community, so they went to 4. There's a time limit of like 40 minutes. So the one that I enjoy playing the most is Team Deathmatch, and I think by far it's the most popular. When you create your character appears, and
you laugh maniacally, and
you laugh maniacally.
You can run back and forth.
You have to choose your initial loadout. Now, you have a primary weapon, which is like a long gun. You can pick from a blunderbuss, which is like a medium-range shotgun in this game. You can pick from a musket, which is your sniper rifle kind of thing. You can choose a little grenade gun that shoots like 2 old-timey grenades. And then there's a 4th one that has like horrible range. Some of them you can aim down the sights, like on the musket, but the blunderbuss you can't. Your secondary weapons, there's like this old-timey revolver, which is clearly, it's like they're all flintlock guns, but this one was like old little revolver. Then there's one, it's called the Duckfoot. It has 4 tubes, and it acts like a pistol shotgun. I think you're getting the picture. For melee weapons, there's a pike. I use a pike because it keeps everybody far away from you. But there's 2 traits that a weapon has. It's the amount of damage that it does, especially melee weapons, the amount of damage that it does and the amount of bleeding that it causes, right? So my pike keeps people away from me so they can't hit me with their weapon, but it causes very low bleeding damage. Now, you could have a broken bottle, which is very close range, but if you cut somebody once, they bleed a lot and they die, even if you don't hit them again. Now, there's a special thing that you can equip yourself with, and there's health, which is either rum or tea. And if you get hit and you're bleeding, which you're always bleeding if you get hit, you got to drink this health in order to not die, or you will bleed out and die. You can forego that. You can have a spotting scope, which identifies enemy ships and gives you ranges, which is really important, and your whole ship crew can see those ranges. And they fade after maybe 10 or 15 seconds, so you have to continually look. What else is there? I don't remember any of the other special stuff. I've never used it. But those are the 2 big ones, health and this scope that you can see from a distance. So you have quite a loadout. Oh, and the 5th thing is a hammer that you use to repair. You repair your ship when it's damaged, either from cannonballs or whatever. So you choose your initial loadout. You're on one of the 3 ships, and every ship has a captain. The captain is a pretty interesting role. I've only done it a couple of times because I wanted to get better at the game, but it's quite a bit of fun. You're the only person who can steer the ship. Now, you go and you talk to somebody who generates a ship, and you can customize the looks and stuff of it, but every time I've been captain, I'm in too much of a rush, so I just build a default. There's like 8 different types of ships. There's hoys and cargo ships. I don't know what. There's schooners and slips and whatever the fuck. The main thing is the number of guns that they have. So the more guns a ship has, the longer each gun takes to reload. Oh. So if you have a small ship will inherently be quicker and more maneuverable. You'll have fewer guns, and interacting with them reloads them more quickly. Bigger ship, you have like 10 or 12 guns. Bigger crew, they take longer to reload. And all the ships have different traits. They have like maneuverability, speed, and the speed at which they sink. So if you have a hole, your ship begins to sink. There are pumps on the ships that you work to keep the ship from sinking. They will not outpace the rate of sinking. They will greatly slow it, though. Smaller ships have 1 pump. Larger ships have 2 pumps that need 2 people to activate. So the main tenet of this game, You are a crew member. Your job is to keep your ship from sinking. When you get hit with a cannonball, it will hit somewhere on your ship and deal damage. Your ship will begin to sink. You have to repair it eventually, or your ship will sink. So somebody repairs it, then somebody else has to pump the water out, because the more water in your ship, the slower it maneuvers, making it easier to shoot. All the while, you have to physically reload old-timey cannons. And how do you do that? You go up to the cannon, you pick up gunpowder, put it in the cannon, which takes time. You select your shot. You have chain shot, which damages sails. You have bar shot, which damages masts. You have grape shot, which crushes crew members when you're close up. You have grappling hooks to snag other ships and pull them in and make them melee attack you. And then you have cannonballs, which punch holes in ships and sink them. So you select one of those, you put it in. Then you have to use your ramrod and shove it down. And then somebody finds the distance for you, and you can look down the cannon, and it has drop ranges, little lines for 4, 5, 6, 700 yards. You have to center the ship that you're firing at, get the range right, then fire it, and it's like a 3/4 of a second delay. So if something shifts, you miss, then it flies through the air, and you get feedback about whether or not you hit the other ship. If you hit the other ship, you get points for that, but you may also kill a crew member, and you get more points for that. And the points are they unlock cool stuff like old-timey hats or uniforms or whatever. So your job as a regular crew member is to keep shooting and keep the ship floating. And if you ram into another ship, you got to go hand-to-hand close quarters. As the captain, you're the only one who can steer the ship. You're also the only one who can generate it after it sinks. And you have the duty of telling people when to equip grappling shots. So you can't just load a regular grapple. But the captain orders it. You can put grapple in. You sail up next to another ship. You pull it in, and then you board them, which is pretty darn exciting. And the way that they handle that is it's typically deathmatch style. So after you're killed, you regenerate, and it takes anywhere from 4 to 12 seconds. However, when you're in a grapple, whoever has their crew killed off first, their ship is then sunk. The other team gets more resources because you go a finite amount of resources, gunpowder, cannonballs, that kind of stuff. If you win a grapple, you get more, and you got to regenerate a new ship. Okay, so the captain steers the ship, and you have to turn so you don't get shot up. You tell your crew to either shoot, reload, what to put in the cannons for how you're going to steer the ship. Cannonballs for long range, grape shot for close. Do you want to grapple it? Do you want to take out the mast? You tell them when you're about to turn. You say, fire port side. Okay, I'm swinging the ship to port. Ready on the starboard side. And then you see all your crew members. They run from the cannons that you just fired from over to the other ones. And then you usually have one more guy on the ship than cannons on each side. And he's running around healing stuff. Sometimes you get lit up. You have 10 holes in your ship. And you go, no more firing. You got to repair everything. So you have people running around, and as the ship sinks, you start running around underwater. It's just really super goofy, but you're healing a ship. You get the holes patched, you pump it, boom, you're sailing again.
So basically, for this game, is it required you have a mic, or just really crucial that you do?
It's really, really crucial that you do, especially as a captain. As an average player, you don't really need one, but as a captain, you really should. Now, I played with captains who did a fine job. They sailed in a predictable way, which allowed me as a crew member to fulfill my duty. But microphones obviously help, because then you can start to scheme. And it runs itself. The games are set up in the same way as Counter-Strike is. There are different servers that you can find, and you choose to log in. It's not matchmaking like Halo or Overwatch, where this system itself finds opponents for you to play. You choose a server, and whoever's on it, you're playing with them. So it's pretty interesting watching people who are really, really high level. They are known for being really good captains, regardless of their crew. So I'll jump on a ship, and they go, Cream is one guy's name. Cream is piloting the Hoy over there. He will put us in Davy Jones' locker if we don't get our shit together. And there's just so many different challenges. Even shooting the cannon itself is really exciting, because I miss maybe one time out of 5. I'll miss like twice in a row or something, and I'll be fuck. And then you get on and you hit, and then the next time you take out 3 guys on the enemy ship, and then you get hit in the face with a cannonball, and your whole body explodes. And when the ships come together, it's really, really exciting because, like I said, whoever loses their crew first, their ship is sunk. But you can regenerate. It just takes literally 2 minutes. So it'll come down to the last guy hiding somewhere up in the sails, trying not to be shot by the other ship, waiting for your team to regenerate. Now, if you're dead and you're engaged in grappling by an enemy, you automatically respawn. But what actually happens is we get grappled and I'm still alive, and then some jabroni with a cannon 6 feet from my face says, here's a load of grape shot, old buddy, old pal, and I disintegrate and don't get to attack anyone. Now, I still haven't figured out good close quarters combat because all these old-timey guns that you're using reload like old-timey guns, if you just like the cannons. So you shoot your musket and you miss if you're me. Then you watch your guy. He pours his gunpowder in, and then he puts a ball in, and then he tamps it down, and then he puts the ramrod in the little holder on the bottom of the gun, and then he lifts his gun up and he cocks back the flint, and then he's ready to go. Now, the nice thing about it is if you get interrupted for any reason in the middle of the animation, it picks up exactly where it left off. So if you have to switch to your sidearm, and then you switch back to your main one in the middle of reloading, it won't reset the reload animation, which is really, really great. Especially if you do something like, sometimes your sails are damaged. So you climb up, you jump on the outside of the ship, which runs into the risk of you falling in the ocean. If you fall in the ocean, the ship sails away, and you don't catch up, and after 20 seconds, you drown. But if you do successfully climb up, you can repair the sails by swinging a hammer at them. And eventually, the sails reappear, and they're healed, and your ship rebuilds really well. But while you're up there fucking around, you can fall into the ocean. If your ship's not moving, then you can climb back on. You're okay. So, like I said, the captain steers the ship. He has to actually orient the ship so that the guns can be pointed at the enemy. Order everybody to shoot, turn it so that it's not hit. It's this really cool squad-based thing, and native in the game, they have a chat system so that when you push to talk, you push V, it just talks to everybody on your ship. Now, if you're captain, oftentimes you'll use B, which talks to everybody in the faction. So you know there's a lot of chatter between captains and their crew. Mm-hmm. You know, load chain shot, port side, I'm going to swing to port. Cannonballs on the right side. Don't even bother reloading because I'm going to swing to hard starboard, shoot it with a chain shot. Then we're going to go to ram. You know, but then you'll hear chatter between the factions. You'll hear some other cannon go, I don't know where you guys are, but we're getting fucked by these 2 galleys over here. We need some help. And then you're like, and then you hear another captain come over. He's like, we're coming for you. We'll be right there. And then, you know, even when I'm talking, I'm stumbling over the words the 3 times I've been captain. But the last one, I was like, all right, boys, you're doing a great job. We haven't sunk. I don't know how we haven't sunk. Let's fucking get them. And I'm like, we're going to ram them. So that's what you do. We don't have any grapples loaded because I don't know how to give the command. But I smash into the other ship, and it immobilizes both of us. So it doesn't go into the grapple like long time regeneration. We get normal 4 to 12 seconds. And we're just standing across from each other, shooting at each other with rifles. And then you jump to the other ship, and you chop everybody up. You stab them. You bleed them out.
I think one of the first games I actually watched you play all the way through, I assume it was the captain because it was the only guy who was really talking. But at the end of the game, he was just like, all right, we're going to finish it with a ram. And it's just like, it just sent the boat into another ship as everyone was dying. Yep. And it just ended there.
It is so... And then the ships will sink, and it just goes... like, that's the sound. And the ships go underwater, and everybody's floating around. And of course, when they're swimming, their legs are horizontal, properly swimming, and their bodies, their torsos are absolutely vertical, so 90 degrees bent backwards.
It's the most efficient way to swim. That's why it's a requirement for the Navy. Yeah. That's what you have to know. You have to be able to bend backwards like that.
There's a button because, you know, if you die, if you're off a ship, you respawn on your ship or on the dock before your ship's created. But there's a suicide button that you click. When you do that, your character goes perfectly straight and throws himself down in the water. Just goes, ugh. And like that leads me to another great part of this stupid game, the voice acting overall. So Genevieve, you have a couple favorite picks from things that they say.
I think I only remember the Navy side because they're all like the proper British accent.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah. That's what I don't
really
say. Like that, and then I'm trying to remember the lines now. One's like, I guess as you're loading a cannon, he just goes, don't send or don't return to sender.
Yeah.
Like,
he's like, what do they say? Like, yes, you look much better blown into a million bits.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Enjoy your stay on the bottom of the ocean.
But that's the thing is like, I can't figure out if it's your character or the other ones, but there's been multiple times where multiple guys are going off on some tangent. So you'll hear just like 15 different little like catchphrase bits going on at once. So it's, oh yes, yeah.
Everybody's just running around.
It's a good show.
If you'd like an autograph, please join the queue to the left.
Yes, that's another one.
And the pirates are great. And the one, like, there's somebody hamming it up with this awful accent. He goes, I'm reloading. Like, the stupid gun isn't too fast enough. Or, oh my God. Good job, boys. Like I ever had any doubt. It's just,
it's so hammed up.
It's so hammed up. But here's the thing about the game. It looks great.
Yeah.
The ships look great. Whoever took the time, though, I mean, the water looks great. The way the ships, they rock back and forth seems really natural. The ropes creak. So there's a point before you're actually fighting when you're just sailing at the enemy. And the
laughing and maniacally and bending backwards and forwards.
No. That's on the dock before it begins. As you're sailing, you just have somebody, like there's maybe chatter. You start getting ranges, but you got to wait until you're within 700 meters to really hit. You just have a guy with a scope looking forward, and the ship is rocking back and forth as you're sailing, and all you hear is the creak of the ropes and the splash of the waves. And I'm like, holy fuck, this is immersive, right? And then
they speak.
Yeah, well, you'll see a ship turn, and then you hear as they fire a cannon at you, and then you as it hits the side, and one of your buddies goes, because they've been blown to bits by a cannonball, right? And then you hear, and then your ship goes, boom, 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 boom. And it, like, there's smoke everywhere because it's, black powder and you can't see through the scope. And that's like, it's so viscerally engaging. As goofy as it is, the fact that they force you to reload in a semi-realistic, old-timey way, along with legitimately engineered sounds and rolling movements of the ships, it's immersive. I don't know how they walk such a fine line, but this game is so much goddamn fun. And it has a nice unlocking system. It's nothing too crazy. It's just the more you play, the more points you get. I don't even know if it's the same amount for every level.
Like
you get
experience points?
Yeah. But you just, after level 30, you can wear a stupid top hat. After level 50, you can wear
important.
A stupid coat. And
is it like armor or no?
No, it's just the way your character looks. And every 50 levels, you get a new little like label. So first level, sailor has just like a skull, and then the other one has like a pistol, and then cool one has a skull and a bunch of daggers and stuff like that. So there's somebody obviously put a lot of time and care into this game, and did a really good job of putting reasonable realism in there, like the chain shot taking out sails. And, there's a swivel gun that it's smaller than your regular cannons, only shoots 100 meters, and it's meant specifically to take out the sails. And if you do that, then the ship slows down, and then your guys can broadside it. But you don't have to reload the swivel like you do everything else, which I guess was a nice compromise because it's not as fun as shooting the big cannon. But what I often run into is we're on a huge ship. We've got like 12 guns, maybe even 14. There's 2 levels to it. There's even 2 guns on the top and then like 12 on each side on the bottom. And there's 13 crew members, 14 crew members. and we've got one fucking hole. We've sealed 10 of them, and we're pumping like madmen to get the water out, but the ship is still slowly sinking. We're like, where the fuck is this last hole? And like coming over, like, somebody find this hole. And then the crew's all looking for it, and you hear somebody, I got it. So you hit the pumps and they heal and you save the ship. And it's just such a perfectly crafted system to make people want to work together. Like, there's not this weird achievement system that makes somebody act out in a way that's not in the interest of the team, because if you don't work as a team, if you're a hog of any sort, then the ship's going to sink, and then it sucks for everybody. A couple of these captains are a little over the top, though. They get a little too bossy. I'm like, whoa, bro. Whoa. You're a captain on a fake video game in a fake pirate world. Okay?
There's no real authority here.
Yeah. But like I said, the realism's pretty neat. Like, there isn't an aiming reticle when you're the captain. You just have to point your ship and know. You know, you like line up the boards with the enemy ship. Like I said, the smoke. So what happens, like, you'll ram somebody, and then both your ships, well, they can either keep moving and they shoot each other, and you got to maneuver around each other. One will get disabled. Like, if your front sails are damaged, you can't move. But you'll ram. Let's say you crash into each other and you stay there. Then you fire your grape shot, which is like a shotgun for a cannon, and then there's fucking smoke everywhere. And you go and you pull out your rifle, and you're sitting there, and you're like, I gotta shoot the other guy. But there's smoke in your way, and your heart just starts pounding. You're like, oh, fuck, this motherfucker's going to see me before I see him. I'm going to fucking die. This is so scary. And then the smoke clears. You see, and you blast him. And, like, you either hit him and he dies, or you miss. And you jump to the other ship, and you pull out your duck foot, and you kill one guy. And then some guy's running around with a rapier, and you're running around with your pike. You stab him to death. Somebody comes up and hits you with an axe. You're like, oh, fuck, I'm bleeding. And you try to pull out your tea to heal yourself, and then somebody blasts you with a duck foot yourself. And it's just
I want to add that the tea part of it is that your arms are like perfectly balanced the entire time you're holding the tea in front of you and sipping it. So you're running around the ship in like a chaotic battle, just like, yes,
with your little pinky finger up.
Yeah.
To drink your tea. But like I said, they maintain just enough realism that it is so very, very exciting. And the experience, while, you know, the aiming and shooting and fighting is familiar in that I've played Counter-Strike and you've played Half-Life and we've all played the Source engine, we're sort of familiar with the behavior, and that it's certainly not a simulation of melee combat, but it's good enough. And games have been trying for years and years and years, especially war combat games, to get people to work in squads without being selfish. And this game just did it. Yeah. It just did it in early access. It is so, like, I would have thought, I think I've said it before, I thought the next good pirate game was going to have to be like a pirate simulator. It's going to have to be really, really serious. No, they sort of took the piss. They did a really good job on everything in the world. And they said, go ahead and have fun, you know? Man, I love it. And for $12, you cannot beat it. I have played more than 12. I think I've played like 30 hours in the last 2 weeks. You know, it's just, I cannot get enough of it. G, you've seen it.
Yeah, I haven't played it yet, but I think I'm going to get it.
Yeah, now we can all play together, you know. And, you know, one of the cool things is, like, the smaller ships, you get in and, like, Carl, he'll be captain, and it'll just be me and him and one other buddy on this ship, and they're super maneuverable.
Is it really only like 3 people per ship?
You can well, they have a maximum carrying capacity of 7.
Okay.
Right, but sometimes you don't fill up the whole ship, so it could literally just be a group of you and your friends trying to make things work. You know.
Can we please though?
Yeah, and then you crash into a giant ship and you try to board it, and you get absolutely murdered by a broadside.
Muck ducked.
Like, everything about it is so much fun. It is so exciting. Especially if you have a really good captain, and because your ship gets like just a hair away from totally going under the water, and then you work as a good team, repair all the holes, bring it back up. Your captain steers you away so you don't take another broadside. You call in assistance. This other ship comes crashing in. The two of you grapple it and just murk their big broadside ship. A lot of fun. I highly, highly recommend it.
Sounds like a shitload of fun.
Yeah. Okay, so
a shipload of fun.
Yeah. We're rocking and rolling pretty hard. I think we're going to skip the next break and just go right into our Steam sale section. It's apropos that I just admit right here. I sort of snubbed Blackwake in this section of our show because it was early access and it looked kind of underdeveloped and it was over $10. I really did miss out on a great game. Now, do I regret my decision on not getting it that sale week? No, not necessarily, but I gotta say my current approach will make me miss gems and find stinkers, but that's also part of the excitement. All right, so here we go. What are we looking at? We have Rising Storm 2 Vietnam, 50% off. Play for free, so I guess you get to try it out. Uh-oh. It's got a...
may not be appropriate.
Oh, no.
At least I didn't have to tell it my age again.
Oh, Red Orchestra. That's a pretty venerated series. They make pretty good games. It looks...
It's decent looking.
Looks pretty decent. When did it come out? 2017. It doesn't really look like... Graphically, it doesn't look like a 2017 game to me. The animations look a little stiff, so it must be supported pretty heavily, but probably looks... well, I'm guessing that the gameplay is pretty strong, right? If it looks like this and it's still popular in 2017, must have something else that carries it on. But it's 50% off at $12.49. I'd have to do quite a bit more reading to really be sold on putting out that kind of money for a series that I'm completely unfamiliar with.
I feel similarly.
Okay. All right, let's back out of here and see what we got. There we go. All right. Oh, shit. Train Simulator 2018.
Oh, my goodness.
50% off. I bet that game. Don't click on it. I don't think we need to.
I think we know what trains are.
But it looks... I'm sure this is fun. Just like that Mud Runner simulator that I meant to buy but didn't.
Well, wait. Isn't a Train Simulators... Didn't you originally play one of those? Or no? It was a different game.
I used to play Railroad Tycoon.
Okay.
Yeah. That was a great series. And then Sid Meier's Railroads was pretty good. Train Simulator 2018, $20, so it's automatically out. I mean, that's tough, though, because after watching Mud Runner, which was a mud truck simulator, I realized simulators can be pretty fucking cool. Okay, Warhammer. So the Total War series is something that I'm pretty familiar with. There's Rome Total War. I think there was a Japanese version. Basically, you have not cities as in civilization, but you do have population hubs that can generate resources for you to build an army.
Just to fight everyone else with?
Yeah, but you sort of march them around an area like Italy or whatever in the different provinces, and then you can be roaming through the hills and you engage an enemy army, and you roll up with like 50 cavalry and 200 infantrymen that you've sort of picked that all have different traits. And you fight. You manage their location on the battlefield. You order charges and stuff. Really, really a lot of fun for sort of the real-time strategy style combat. So it's not exactly like Age of Empires where you move similarly typed units around. They do their own thing. You're pretty heavily advanced in the Total War kind of combat. Like you say, okay, archers, shoot flame arrows now, then advance 100 yards. Stay here, then shoot regular arrows, and you swing your cavalry all the way around unnoticed and then attack from the rear. Very, very engaging. I've enjoyed it quite a bit. Total War 2 Warhammer, I imagine, is going to be really similar style of command. Probably more developed. Christ, it's priced at $44.99. So if you're into Warhammer, this sounds, 25% off. This must be a brand new game. I'm not spending $44.99, especially since I don't have a modern rig right now to play. I don't have the Starship Enterprise like Jake. But if this is a series that you're into, either of these things, Total War or Warhammer, I bet that's going to be a good bet. Anybody else have any thoughts on that one?
You know much more than I.
I would want to see some gameplay before anything, especially because it's so expensive, but probably still new, like you said.
It definitely looks sharp. Thematically, Warhammer is really, really cool. Let's see. All very positive feedback on it. It came out in 2017.
Dope looking.
Yeah. This is obviously a cutscene that we're watching, but some magic shit going on. Area of effects, big tornadoes. I don't know, man.
Weather stuff. It's a giant rat.
So it's like Warhammer to me has always been sort of like another version of Lord of the Rings. And Lord of the Rings characters and models and shit are super cool. Look at these. These are dinosaur monsters fighting.
That's awesome.
Like cyberpunk.
Oh my goodness.
This looks amazing.
I feel like I am interested, but still that $45 is like
a little steep for a first entrance, you know.
Yeah.
First game.
This is the kind of thing where I would go back to the very first Total War and boot it up, and by the time I play my way up to Total War 2 Warhammer, I'm in Paintshit Gamer range, and I'm probably going to get it for $15 on sale. Okay, Starbound. Space for update. Now, I've heard this name thrown around. Okay. You fled your home only to find yourself lost in space with a damaged ship. Your only option is to beam down to the planet below and gather the resources you need to repair your ship. Set off to explore the, I don't know, galaxy or something. This sounds like a premise very similar to Pikmin. Do you recall Pikmin there, Jake?
I didn't play it.
Oh, I did play it. Anybody else ever play it?
Is that what the premise is for that?
Well, you get lost on a planet. You find these little colorful monsters, and they help you carry parts of your ship.
Flower monster
back.
things?
Yeah, flower monsters help you carry back to your ship. Great game. Really, really enjoyed it. This looks nothing like that. This is a 2D side scroller a la, I think, Metroid. You know, pixel art style, not exactly 8-bit, a little more developed.
See, the art style reminds me of Faster Than Light.
Yeah, for sure. This looks pretty effing cool.
How much was it?
$8.99. Very positive reviews, both recently and in the past. This might be a winner this week. Oh my goodness.
Available now.
Yeah. All right, let's get out of here. Next, anything? All right, let's see. Total War Warhammer. Oh,
so the original.
the original Total War Warhammer, 75% off.
At what is that number?
$14.99, I think it was.
Well, it moved around. I think the publisher is having a weekend deal.
505
so
games.
It's like refreshing itself.
Oh, okay. Anytime you have a. Oh, wait. Before you click on anything, here we go. Blood Bowl 2. I've heard chatter about this.
Blood Bowl?
Yeah, 50% off, $22.49. It's like goblins versus, like, I don't know, elves or something, football with crazy stylized bloody combat in the middle. It looks pretty neat. I'd pick it up for $8, probably not $22.49.
The Lord of the Rings FIFA.
Yeah, exactly. Man, you know, there's a lot of things on sale, especially with this publisher, but
let's see what the publisher's doing. 505 games, up to 90% off. Set of Cars, Portal Knights, Laser League,
Brothers,
A Tale of Two Sons, Abzu, Last Day.
I'm not really picking you up there, Jake, on the mic.
Heard of any of these games?
Me either. Tiny Brains? What is Tiny Brains?
I don't know, but it's $1.99. Interesting. Okay, so this is the kind of thing, if you're unfamiliar with a publisher, you scroll down. I don't think I want Gems of War. It sounds like a mobile clickbait, but you know, Tiny Brains or this Lone Wolf or whatever. They're like
The Guest.
Adrift. That looks kind of neat. I would pick up achieve one of these games.
It's a Sandra Bullock simulator.
Yeah, see if I like the style of the publisher, and if I do, just put them on my wish list for the next time they have a sale. So this might be something cool to explore.
Yeah, I don't know why it's like updating constantly, because it's been like wiping away. See, here's the Total Warhammer again.
Yeah.
For $14.99.
$14.99. Okay. There you go. It probably has all the it has all the DLC in it. So very cool. All right.
Still looks pretty exciting.
Let's back out. Let's make our pick.
Is that it?
All right. You know, this week is tough for me because everything is so goddamn expensive. I think Rising Storm 2, you know, I'm supposed to be really good. I'm sure Training Simulator is good.
Pick one.
I'm going to have to go with Starbound because I'm really liking games that look like this. And this space-themed stuff seems to be going through a hot streak right now. A lot of these like semi-futuristic, faster than light. What was it? Into the Breach. I mean, there's Star Citizen or something supposed to be. A lot of things in this futuristic space, imagining are pretty hot right now and hitting on all cylinders. So I'm going to go with Starbound, with an honorable mention to Total War Warhammer, at 75% off.
Dang, because that's what I would do. I think I would go with Starbound because I don't like spending a lot of money, and it does look pretty cool.
Oh, but I'm gonna have to pick something up from 505 Studios or whatever it is. One of those $2 games.
I want
to
see what Tiny Brains is about, because that title just sounds so funny.
All right, what do you think, Chris?
Probably Starbound, just for the price.
All right, Jacob.
I'm not terribly impressed across the board.
But if you had to pick,
I'll probably just pick one of the cheapo guys from the 505 studio.
Yeah, that's always a good move. I mean, you can pick up some good stuff for $1 hair.
I still pick up. I'm still playing.
Oh my
gore periodically. So still stuck on the same level.
All right, next week we got some exciting stuff. Frank is back from Vegas, and Liesler will be on her first episode since she returned from Japan. Even though Japan is totally unrelated to video games, I guess we'll get to hear probably something interesting. Until then, thank you for joining us again. I think in our 45th installment. We're all still having fun. Hit us up at 2gunsnoammunition@gmail.com.
Yes.
We'll have some good content coming out very, very soon. And as always, don't forget, cock 'em, lock 'em, and rock 'em, baby.
Watch it with those things. It's dangerous.